Gather round me, children, I'll tell you the news. Don't worry about the names or dates, you already know it's true. The doctor hates your baby, the prime minister's a ghost, and all them folks are sailing here 'cause they're in love with boats. Superfoods can save us from all our evil sin. JFK and Elvis own a bar in Wisconsin. Vaccinations were created by the CIA to steal votes from Bernie Sanders and turn your babies gay. So click the link you think you like and get tooled for a fight against those lefty fascist communists who are leaning too far right.
Hi and welcome to Not Another Fake Newscast. I'm Paul.
And I'm Jenny.
We're back and it's episode 12 and this is going to be a roundup of the last month and a bit of stories, stuff that's came up, stuff that's caught our eye, stuff that's fake news, stuff that's been lied about, and there was also a school shooting in there.
Yeah, as part of our new schedule, this is going to be a new thing. We're going to do a deep dive episode on whichever subject we've got coming up, and we're also going to do once a month a news review type, loosely chatting about stories that we've seen.
An episode that I can drink during.
Yeah, and an episode that I can drink during, which is an episode, basically. So as always, www.notanotherfakenewscast.com is our website, and if you want to send us an email, as we've been lucky enough to receive a few emails in the past month or two from likes of Doug, from likes of Harry, giving us support and just drop us a line to let them know that they're listening and enjoying it. So we really appreciate that sort of stuff.
I mean, it's super nice. Like, you obviously do this, you put the episodes out, you see the numbers of people downloading it or listening to it, but that for the most part is the interaction that you have, apart from like the handful of Patreons and some of the people on social media that interact all the time. So it's really nice to get like random emails off of people who are telling us that they enjoy listening to us, because it makes you feel all warm inside.
Yeah, so thanks very much for that. And if you would like to do that, then you can do it at info@notanotherfakenewscast.com.
Yep, you can get us at PGMcast on both Facebook and Twitter. And if you so wish to join our Patreon, join the Passel and talk to us a lot more often and get, different perks like our outtakes and stuff, then you can join that at www.patreon.com/PGMcast.
Yep, I think it's important to realise that nowadays, with the kind of media that you're getting from the press and the TV, newspapers, online, which is sponsored by big corporations, etc., you're maybe not getting the whole story, and you're maybe not getting the sort of in-depth discussion and whatever that various people in the alternative media can provide. So while I'm not going to beg for you guys to come and donate to us, what I would suggest you do is, if you listen to any of these type of shows, if you listen to us or Sam Harris or whoever it is that you listen to and enjoy, and you think that these people are doing something worthwhile, which is more in depth, more features more intelligent debate than you're getting in the mainstream media, go out there and support one of those people this month if you can afford to.
Yeah, it's really good. And the other thing is, inevitably, one of us in the podcast world is going to find ourselves in a legal dispute with one of the big media companies, and it would be nice to have a little bit of money there to pay for the lawyers.
No, but seriously, the stuff's not going to continue to exist unless people do support it. And while, I'm not asking you to do it for us. Go do it for somebody if you can afford it. Go out there and make sure that this stuff continues to exist.
Yeah, I mean, this is somewhere between pirate radio and the Wild West at the present moment, and at some point somebody's going to start regulating it, and when they do, it's going to be a lot harder for podcasters to be putting out stuff for free, because there'll just be a clampdown on it, because eventually big media companies are going to realise that they can be making money on it, and when that happens, the people that you really like listening to are the ones that you want to be able to have some kind of support and backing behind them, because they're the ones that are not going to be able to just be drowned by the big media companies when they decide that they take an interest in podcasting.
Anyway, I think that's pretty much all the housekeeping done. The only thing that I would also like to say is that we're going to be playing in Edinburgh as a kind of live show for Edinburgh Skeptics in May. As soon as I've got more details about how to get tickets and stuff for that, we'll let you know, and we'll post it on the website and stuff too. So, going straight into what we've been looking at this month, Paul.
So, the first thing I had been interested in was South Africa, because I like taking a place in the Western world with loads of guns that hate whites and blacks equally, rather than just a place that we usually focus on that with loads of guns that hates blacks more than whites. So, yeah.
Controversial opening to the show, Paul.
But yeah, so in South Africa, for those who haven't been kept in the loop, essentially for the last couple of months, there has been a doomsday. There has been a number that they're working towards because there was no water. There was a drought. It's been reported that the droughts have been super bad, and it's created this problem where people were getting limited to the amount of water that they were going to be able to consume. I believe each family a day had like 50 litres or something similar to that they could consume in their entirety. That's showers and toilet flushes and brushing your teeth and making your tea and everything. It's not a lot of water. Now,
I believe that's what the Nicki Minaj song Super Bad was about. It was about that super bad drought.
Yeah.
Pretty sure.
Weirdly, we were talking about this the other day. Do you think it's actually like, it's not Super Bass, which is a song? Do you think it's...
Oh, yeah.
Do you think it's Superb Ass?
Well, no, because she sings super bass, does she not, in it?
Maybe she calls an ass an ace. Then it makes sense. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Right, so, back to South Africa.
Yes, please.
That's what the Toto song was about. Toto. Shit, man. Totally lost my train of thought.
There's no place like home. No, right.
I get weird. So, yeah, what's essentially happened is there's a limitation on the water. There was this date that they're working towards. It was like the 19th of April.
Day zero is what they're calling it, I believe.
Yeah.
The day that they will have to start rationing water.
No, they've started rationing water.
Well,
the day that they'll have to start heavily rationing water. Like, so the water's now rationed.
The day when the city's taps are turned off.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So essentially, there's no water at that point. As in, there's no water for general consumption of water.
Yeah, after day zero, citizens will have to line up for water at designated distribution points.
Sounds garbage. It sounds absolutely awful. Now, it's been made out that this has happened because of a drought, but through some friends that I have from South Africa, I had actually seen an article from 1997-ish from the Cape Town Press. That's possibly not the name of the paper, by the way. I maybe just made that up. But whatever the local rag is in Cape Town. And on that article, essentially, it stated that there was going to be about 10 years left of water. As in, ignoring droughts and ignoring anything else, with the current rate of expansion in Cape Town, they didn't have enough water reserves for further than 10 years down the line. So in 2007, they were sure there was going to be no water. So what we then what's not been reported, what's not been focused on, is the fact that this was a known problem. This was an issue that they've been putting band-aids over and they've been doing stuff to fix it. But the report in question, the data was collected from the from the end of the 80s to the start of the 90s. Now that's pre-apartheid. So that's before, in the nicest possible way, black folk had rights in South Africa. So what you have to remember is from the time that the report was all compiled and put out, in that time, suddenly you had an entire group of people in the country who now had, rights and were able to get the same equal treatment as everyone else.
But at that point, though, were they not saying that it was going to be in 10 years' time?
2007, yeah.
Yeah, and obviously this is 2018 and there hasn't been a drought, so they got the numbers wrong in some way.
Yeah, I mean, so they've obviously, there was some work done.
Or there's been adjustment based on that, yeah.
They got some work done to make this last a bit longer, and there's a lot of contention when speaking to the South Africans. There's a lot of people that are relatively confident the issues are actually between the predominantly white leadership of Cape Town clashing with the predominantly black leadership of South Africa as a whole, with regards to funding and infrastructure work and stuff like that. And that's meaning that no one was actually doing the work that they were meant to be doing. Like, I mean, they weren't putting as much gravitas into the danger of the fact that there's not going to be any water. Now, one of the things that came up when we done our gun control episode is the gun crime in South Africa on a good day is quite bad still. I mean, it's up around about it's very near the American level of gun crime, you know what I mean? So you already have a country where it's quite tense. It's quite shitty, shall we say.
And yeah, despite the fact that apartheid, was got rid of in the 90s, it's still, I think it's fair to say, got a pretty large racial divide in the country at times.
It is. And I mean, weirdly, depending on who you hear talking about it, so like from not all of them, granted, but from white South Africans seem to believe that the issue has been a limitation of work done by the overall government of South Africa, who are predominantly black. From the black South Africans, the opinion is Cape Town's kind of local council, Cape Town Council, have not been pulling their weight. Now, at the end of the day, what they've known is they have been putting band-aids on a problem that they knew was going to happen. And
well, you say that right, but for what I've been looking at today, it says that never in recorded history has Cape Town encountered a drought of such severity for 3 consecutive years, right? So is there not an argument that
God hates them all?
There's an argument that this is like totally an outlier statistically, like there was no real way of predicting that such a severe drought would happen.
Yeah, I mean, there is, but is there then also not another argument to say that, like, you're in Africa, so the chances of a drought is high, first, and then a study by a impartial department of the government have came forward and said, you're going to run out of water and you have to do a lot more for the water. And then in that time, more people have got more rights and the city has expanded further than they ever thought it would. I mean, the whole world has expanded further than they ever thought it would. And to be on for the capital city of a country that is perceived certainly as like
It's not a capital city, Cape Town.
Is it the largest city?
I don't know. I thought Johannesburg was both of those things.
See, I thought Johannesburg was smaller. Anyway.
Okay. I have Google here. We can check that shit out.
But
anyway, continue.
But for Cape Town even being the scenario where it is so close to the brink of running out of water. I mean, Cape Town is the closest thing to a westernized, like a standard westernized white Christian country in the whole of Africa. Do you know what I mean? Like, and it kind of puts perspective on quite where the country is when you're looking at things like murder stats and that in fact it's much more closer to being like a South American country than it is being like Britain or the US or Canada or the likes.
In terms of the crime stats?
Crime stats, infrastructure.
I would suggest that it's probably better at recording statistics than a lot of the other countries in Africa, though, so maybe it's not a fair comparison.
Oh, yeah, probably. All I mean is it's regarding infrastructure and crime stats and gun ownership and leadership and everything, it's much more similar to a South American country
than it is to a European
country.
Yeah, or a North American or whatever.
Yeah, but so that's where we've got to. I mean, that's where we've got to now, that they're talking about it being a drought that's caused the problem, but it's not really the drought that's caused the problem. There's an underlying infrastructure problem that they've had. And as I said, this is going to... So the date's been moved. The day zero has actually been shifted now to July.
Yeah. It's been shifted to it. It was initially March. It was moved to April. It's now been moved to July because they've had a bit of rainfall and stuff. But
I miss the rain down in Africa.
Cape Town, by the way, is way smaller than Johannesburg, but lots of things.
Cape Town drought?
Yeah, Cape Town is Johannesburg basically looked like it was about 7 million. Cape Town population. One of the things that I've been looking at is how the water is supplied in Cape Town. There's basically 6 major dams, and they have low level warnings when it goes past at a certain level, and one of the major dams had a low-level warning.
Jean-Claude
Van Damme, it's my favourite. Once about every 10 years, there's an extremely low rainfall around the major The Waterskloof Dam. That's Afrikaans, people. The last dam level scare was in 2004, 2005.
Would that be a dike?
What?
Would that be a dike?
A dam? Or what do you mean?
Is a dike not the Dutch word for a dam?
Yeah, I think so, but I don't know if
It's just because they're Dutch, aren't they? I mean, essentially, like
Afrikaans, yeah,
well,
comes for Dutch. Yeah.
Anyway,
Dutch.
sorry.
The last dam level scale was 2004, 2005. In 2007, the National Department of Water and Sanitation issued a warning about Cape Town's water supply, saying the city would need new water sources by 2015.
Right, so they managed to get to the 10-year mark from between like 1997 and 2007. In 2007, they were like, we don't have any fucking water, guys. We tell you about this. There'll be like none by 2015. And then we got to 2015, they were just like, we're still coasting on by here. Hope there's no fucking drought. And there's no been rain like properly since.
Well, it does say that the city took the warning seriously, acted quickly. It implemented a water demand management strategy, a load of stuff involving agriculture and leak detection and stuff like that. But it was so effective that the city met its 2015-2016 water saving target 3 years early. Don't know what that really fucking means. I guess it was the amount of water that they had to have saved up.
So you're telling me that if they hadn't implemented that properly,
they'd have ran out of water already.
It would have been a much worse situation.
Yeah, but it shows you the severity of the drought, because they're basically saying that in 2015-16 they had 3 years worth of savings or more of water saved past. So this 3 years of severe drought has fucked them.
From the way that the South Africans I spoke to talk about their government, I think what probably happened was they were like, oh, we've saved 3 years of water, fucking quality, and then never done anything about it for like 3 years. It does.
This particular article that I'm looking at is on the Conversation, and it sort of talks about bad decisions and how bad policy and bad politics, bad government is largely the cause of the crisis. So we'll post this up. But yeah, it's an interesting one. I think what's particularly interesting for me about this is that it's had so little coverage in our media. Like, nobody's talking about the fact that, like, in December, Cape Town was basically 3 months away from running out of water. That got put back a month. It's now been put back another couple of months. But while Jacob Zuma resigning has obviously had reasonable amount of coverage, yeah, this has had like virtually zero coverage whatsoever. The population of Cape Town is not even 500,000, and Johannesburg is about 7.
Is it not?
No.
I'm genuinely shocked at that.
So I thought it was a lot smaller in Johannesburg, to be fair. But yeah, so I mean, so fucking they only need about a thimble full of water. I don't know what the fucking problem is.
Who only? Just when you said they, I just presumed you were being offensive to someone.
No. Well, just people from Cape Town. But yeah, we hope Cape Town gets its problem sorted out. I don't think Jacob Zuma is going to be doing anything about it, because he's obviously been forced out of government in South Africa amid a whole shitload of corruption allegations, mainly centred around the Gupta family, a couple of Indian brothers who've been involved in mining and stuff like that and have been heavily tied into the government. They have fled South Africa now, and all their businesses have went out of administration at roughly the same time that he's resigned. So it all seems to be tied up in...
But it's not connected.
Oh, no, not at all. Allegedly.
Allegedly, citation needed.
Libel.
The other words.
But yeah, so that's what's going on in South Africa at the minute. So it's definitely worth keeping your eye on what happens there next in terms of government, and also what happens next in Cape Town in terms of water and that.
I mean, in a couple of months' time, you're going to be in a scenario where you've had a government is a bit unstable at the moment. A new government's going to have come in. There's nobody get any water. It's if there's a possibility that we might see something quite extreme occur in South Africa over the next couple of months. It's one to certainly keep your eye on.
Yeah, definitely. I would say so. I'm interested to know actually where these Gupta boys have went. You know, where they've fled to. I wonder, maybe they just went back to India. I guess if they're Indian, they might just went back there. Anyway.
United States, maybe?
No, I think the reason that I asked that is because this article in the Financial Times, the byline is by Joseph Cotterill in Johannesburg and Simeon Kerr in Dubai. So I wonder if they fucked off to Dubai, which would be interesting to me because, like, there's...
They fucking hate Indians in Dubai, do they not?
No, I mean, there's loads of them there. They just... Dubai.
Don't treat them well.
They treat them well. They've got plenty of fucking money, you know what I mean? Like, the place just centres around that shit. But they have virtually no extradition. Like, Eric Prince went over to Abu Dhabi to avoid kind of any sort of prosecution over the whole Black Watch scenario in America. Interestingly, Eric Prince was a massive donator to the Trump campaign, and his sister is Betsy DeVos, is now the education secretary in the US. Just noticing things.
No connection.
And Prince.
Prince?
Prince. Sexy motherfucker.
Purple rain, purple rain.
No, Eric Prince. He basically sat down. Remember a few months ago where Trump was talking about pulling the army out of Afghanistan and replacing them with PMCs, basically private military contractors. That was proposed to him.
Not Paul McCann's.
No, not Paul
Because he
McCann.
had never included me in this chat, and I was a bit scared there for a minute.
It was just for anybody who wasn't familiar with the acronym, you know. They were basically proposing to pull the military out, and that was proposed to him directly by Eric Prince. And he has also took proposals to Trump, reportedly by a number of newspapers, to set up a new intelligence agency, out with the Pentagon and the NSA and the FBI and the CIA, presumably so that Trump can control that himself. I've been reading Michael Wolff's book about the Trump presidency over the past month, so I might slip into some of this shit.
A standalone intelligence agency controlled just by the president.
Well, yes, certainly independent of any of the existing institutions.
Shall they be wearing black or brown shirt?
It does sound a bit dodgy, doesn't it?
Do you know?
Will they have skulls on their badge? Are we the baddies? Are we the baddies?
They'll just show up on day one. It's just like, and here's your badge. My badge looks like a skull. Yep, that's your badge. It's got a lightning bolt in the head.
Although, what's the name of the PMCs who wear the Punisher logo? Was that not Black Watch, or was that somebody else?
No, that's your man.
Blackwater, not Black Watch. Sorry,
it's no Blackwater. It's off the top of my head, I can't remember. It's the one that is it the American Snipers crowd?
Yes, I believe so. Aye, that's right. I'm just going to check it.
The American Snipers crowd.
I knew what you meant. No, it's Blackwater.
Is it?
Mm-hmm. Looks like it.
You know, the American Sniper was a teacher.
Was he?
He would. That's what he done. Like, he would help. He would teach people how to use firearms and stuff like that to get over post-traumatic stress disorder.
All right. Didn't he do himself much good, did it?
Do you know how he got killed? See, one of the people that he was teaching how to use firearms shot him. Do you know he was armed at the time? Do you know he was an armed teacher? Do you know he not only was an armed teacher, he was arguably the best marksman in the whole of the United States at that moment.
Well, that's one of those memes that's going around at the minute, isn't it? Of like when Reagan was shot. I think it was
like everybody had a gun, didn't make a difference.
Yeah. Yeah. But what he needed was a couple of armed teachers.
A couple of math teachers,
to help
geography teacher and that.
Anyway, so I think that covers South Africa. One of the things that I've been looking at this month, Paul, is the furore and controversy surrounding the allegations that Jeremy Corbyn is a communist spy. This got a lot of coverage in the newspapers in the UK. Front page headlines: Corbyn sells UK secrets to USSR. Corbyn is commie spy.
The thing
etc.,
is,
etc.
Corbyn selling British secrets to the USSR wouldn't make him a communist spy. because he's selling them. So I mean, I don't think that's how it works. I don't think spies work on like.
Of course it is.
Oh, like.
I think they do that shit for free.
Well, that's essentially, if you're selling stuff to the communists, then you're like a freelance spy. You're not a communist spy. You're just like a spy.
You're a spy for the communists.
No, not really. You're a spy, and the communists are buying the stuff that you've got. That's not the same as being a spy. Like, if someone said to me, like, you were working as a spy for the communists.
Well, Paul, can I stop you here? Because that explanation is never going to make a headline. That's a rubbish splash.
What, that Jeremy Corbyn is a freelance spy?
It's going to have to be like 3.5 point font.
Jeremy Corbyn is a freelance spy who has recently sold information to Russia.
This is why you don't work for the Sun. It's the only reason.
That's it.
So yeah, Ben Bradley, the Conservative member of Parliament, chose to tweet these allegations and talk about them. I think a guy called Ben Williamson, who's like a Tory councillor, was talking about it as well. Ben Bradley has since had to apologise on Twitter, and as well as pay a donation to a charity of Corbyn's choice.
An undisclosed but substantial figure, I believe, is the statement they made.
Yeah, because essentially there's fucking no proof whatsoever of these allegations. Like, unfortunately, they've already been plastered all over the front pages of the newspapers over here. The same newspapers which proclaimed that he was like an IRA fucking mole or sympathiser or member or whatever the fuck he was.
What a fucking resume. Like, a member of the IRA.
Yeah.
A Russian spy.
Yeah.
Leader of the opposition party across the UK.
It's a fucking cracking CV. Like,
you're always... To be honest, I would step down.
You might not agree with his politics, but he's fucking been some places and done some shit.
I mean, I reckon if he put his CV on S1 Jobs tomorrow, I reckon he'd have a job before the end of the week.
I'd bring him in for an interview just to fucking get some info at him. So what was it like? What was it like meeting Jerry Adams? What was it like meeting Gorbachev?
Jerry Adams, Gorbachev,
Yeltsin,
Jeremy Corbyn. Or just sitting about a table, drinking a combination of, I don't know, vodka.
Tea and vodka.
Well, Guinness.
So according to Corbyn, he basically this story did arise from a singular fact, which was that a Czech diplomat who claimed a whole bunch of fucking crazy shit.
Wait. Was he mates with Corbyn? Was it his Czech mate?
Oh. Very good, very good. He claimed that he had met with Corbyn in 1986 for an hour. Corbyn's people confirmed this. He claimed that he'd met him a second time. Corbyn's people denied this because it was the day after Corbyn's mother's funeral, and he has proof, apparently, that he was in Derbyshire for some socialist conference. Bloody commies. So he's basically disproved it, that he met him more than once. But the newspapers have chosen the fact that he did meet him once, and this Czech diplomat, I think, has released a book or memoirs or sold a story saying that.
The Twice I Met Corbyn, the book.
Yeah. Well, he claimed a whole bunch of other stuff. He says that he knew exactly what colour suit Margaret Thatcher was going to wear on any given day, which I think was
black.
Blue, actually.
I know.
And
she never wore red suits. No.
She wasn't her colour.
Rarely wore green.
I mean, she may as well have wore black every day because she brought fucking death upon
unions,
hundreds of poor children. Anyway, so the crux of the matter is these stories have already been printed, right? They're already been front page news.
You're talking about your man's book. What was his book about?
Basically, allegations against Corbyn. So the newspapers picked up and ran with it. Now, I guess it remains to be seen whether they are taken to task for it legally. They may have been able to get away with what they've printed because they're basing the allegations on something that someone else has said. And if you word that correctly, you can say, this guy has said that Jeremy Corbyn sold him secrets.
They'll apologise and redact it all in a tiny little column at the back of the fucking paper.
And
in 3
nobody
weeks' time, and
will
they
say
can't
that.
even see it.
But because Ben Bradley actually wrote, Corbyn sold secrets to the USSR, blah, 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 he didn't say it was claimed by someone else. That's how you get him. So there's a tip for you, Paul, in future.
That's we might have to go back and redact the pile of things that we've said in other episodes. But yeah, I mean, it is very interesting the way this is all kind of played out, where like at the time that we were talking about Northern Ireland and we were looking at Brexit and we were looking at the new the election and how they were going to deal with the fact that they had a minority party, and they were looking at affiliation with DUP. The big thing that was in the papers, or certainly the undercurrent in the papers, was Corbyn's affiliation with the IRA, and the IRA and
that
Northern Ireland.
That was the entire lead up. Like the week prior to the election, the newspapers were filled with Corbyn IRA stories. They just kept saying Corbyn and IRA in the same sentence loads and loads and loads of times until people made the connection themselves in their head.
And then now, like literally, if you follow any world media at the moment, you can't escape Russia and Trump, Russia and American officials, Russia and
Syria,
yeah. So the fact that it's now Corbyn is now linked to Russia, it's like choose a baddie, stick the word Corbyn onto the end of it, and then let's make sure that Corbyn is now affiliated with these people. I would imagine.
Also, I mean, you know, I'm getting at the realms of like conspiracy here, right, and propaganda and whatever else. But see, if you keep putting the words commie and Corbyn together in the same sentence in big fucking letters on the front newspapers, Corbyn, commie, Corbyn, commie, spy, Corbyn, commie, Corbyn, commie, Corbyn, commie. That's just fucking drumming it into people. This guy's a fucking communist. And you know, the people who own these newspapers, they're the people who stand to lose the most from him getting into power. They're terrified of him. They're seeking to discredit him. That's
they'll
the way
have
I
to
see
pay
it.
tax. They'll have to pay tax. They'll be more regulated. They're two things that they don't fucking want. I mean, like, so there was a thing kicking about on the internet about the expenses of Jeremy Corbyn's bike. Like, so his road bike was worth sub £500, 480 or 475 or something in that region, but sub £500 for a road bike. The boy's 60. He wears cords. He cycles to work. A road bike costs a whole shitload of money. A train ticket in London costs a whole shitload of money.
A whole much more. Look, it could be driving a car, paying congestion charge.
He's the leader of the Labour Party. He could be getting driven about in a car.
Yeah.
Like, even more so. Like, not even just driving a car. Like, he could literally, he is the leader of the Labour Party. I can almost guarantee you, and this is complete conjecture because I've not checked it at all, but I can almost guarantee that every leader of the Labour Party for the last fucking 20 years, anyone who is relatively high up in the party has had cars that drive them about most of the time throughout London.
Well, also, is it not interesting that we literally know fuck all about Theresa May's past as a human being or politician? We never presented with stories about her interests, you know, apart from the odd time in the Guardian.
So let's do run through
Wheatfields. We know that much. Yeah. But you know, me and you know that our husband is, you know, manager of a large hedge fund, or he certainly works for Capital Group.
Yeah, he's in charge of pensions, I believe.
And you know, there's been a few stories about that, but it's barely mentioned because, and it's barely mentioned the fact that she sits down at paid for dinners once a month with high-ranking business officials from throughout the UK. She is representing an interest because her party and her are sponsored by these people. But that's not in the newspapers. What's in the newspapers is Jeremy Corbyn had an hour-long meeting one time with a fucking Czech diplomat. Although, I love the fact that the rebuttal from his secretary or whatever was that they only spoke with him for an hour, just long enough for a cup of tea. That's a long motherfucking cup of tea.
What that told me was that never go for tea with Jeremy Corbyn.
Unless you like it freezing cold.
Iced tea. Maybe it was Lipton iced tea. That's what it was. If Lipton want to sponsor this episode, we're more than happy to discuss with them about that. That's quality.
But
they're actually owned by Nestle. I retract that.
Yeah, fuck them. Fuck them. I'd much rather be sponsored by Beer 52, who are a brilliant beer company from Edinburgh, who will give you a crate of beer every month full of different craft beers and a snack and a magazine called Ferment.
Not for men.
Not for men.
Why drink tea when you can drink beer? Well, other than the fact you get done for drink driving.
Is that a rhetorical question?
No, I'm not saying always drink beer over tea.
Because I'm 12, Paul.
Because I'm at work. And I've lost 3 jobs because of your shitty advice, Paul. I'm not doing this anymore. Stop telling me to drink.
But yeah, if you want to get your first crate of beer from Beer 52 for free, then just stick in the code FAKE10 at the checkout and check them out. They're good guys, and like us, they're also Scottish. Yeah.
And I would imagine they enjoy drinking their beer.
And I imagine they enjoyed beating England at rugby on Saturday.
Jerry doesn't speak for everyone here. Not another fake news cast.
Come on now.
I keep on right. I would like to apologise before we go any further. That's the 3rd time I've now punched my mic stand, and with the best editing in the world, it's going to be really difficult to remove that sound. And it's me that's doing the editing, so it'll not be the best edit in the world anyway.
Why do you keep punching your mic stand, Paul?
Fucking anger.
Just
and
because
also,
I mentioned rugby.
Also, because I've put it in a really awkward place today, where like I'm sitting, like I'm essentially miking side saddle, which is a weird thing for me to do, but I'm just trying some new things.
There are some people who would say that you've got nobody to blame for that but yourself.
Yeah, I understand. It's a learning process. We've only been doing this for a year now, and I'm still not. I still don't know where to put my mic. Honestly, fuck.
Right, yeah. So I mean that pretty much covers the Corbyn stuff, right? Which brings us on to the next thing that we were looking at, which was the Texas tranny
massacre. So essentially, although that was
really insensitive, grossly insensitive.
So there was a beautiful thing. Actually, the article, when I first read it, and I had to then look into it, I see the God page on Facebook.
Oh, yeah.
So that page...
It's not actually God, because he's not real.
No, I actually think it's a verified page.
Well, okay, that's fine, but
it's
not... I mean, you can take my last comment with a pinch of salt. Whether you believe in God or not is entirely up to yourself. But it's definitely not actually God on Facebook.
It's a verified page.
Okay, cool. I take it back. Paul's proven me wrong there.
That means that it has more gravitas than the Britain First.
The Pope?
Well, because they all lost there. Yeah.
Does the Pope have a verified page? I mean, actually, here's a. Can you have a verified page on Facebook? Do you mean Twitter?
No, I'm sure it's a verified page. Anyway, do you know what? This is totally fucking irrelevant to what I was about to talk about. The thing is, that page had posted up a story about how a trans person was winning at wrestling. This is the 2nd year in a row that they've won wrestling in Texas at some kind of college/high school sport level. And essentially the person was kicking fuck out the women, like doing particularly well. Now, the beauty of this actual article was...
You keep saying the person, so...
There is a reason for this.
Right.
So, people lost their shit in the comments section. They were just like, I can't believe that someone who's transitioned to a woman is allowed to win, is allowed to compete in this wrestling, and that's why she keeps on winning. That's why she keeps on winning. What actually the scenario here is it's a woman who has transitioned to being a man.
Right.
Okay? And legally in Texas, you can't compete in sports in a gender that's not the gender defined on your birth certificate.
Okay.
So essentially, if you're a man who's transitioned to a woman and you want to wrestle, weirdly, you would have to, as a transitioned woman, still wrestle men, which seems strange. I don't know why, but that just seems like an
Alright,
awesome
so you've became a woman, but you'd have to fight guys.
Because it says in your birth certificate you were born a male. And in this case...
Yeah, but like... Okay, keep going.
And in this case, she was born a girl and has...
I wish I had been born a girl. Sorry.
And he has now transitioned to being a man.
Right.
And that wrestler in question asked to be able to wrestle men, like asked to be put into the man's league to wrestle. That's what he wanted to do. But the state have said he can't do that. He can only wrestle against women, and he's doing
because he was born a woman,
and he's doing very well at wrestling women because he's taking testosterone to be a man, which then means that there is a inherent strength that comes along with testosterone, which is fundamentally a steroid.
I have so many things which I don't understand about this. Right, so I mean, first of all, how is he allowed to fight against women if he's essentially taken what, if those other women took it, would be considered a performance enhancing drug?
So as I understand it, because there is a medical reason and because he is taking a controlled quantity of it to make sure that, so he has fundamentally not got any more testosterone in his body than you or I.
Yes, but
obviously not me, because I'm manly as fuck.
Competitively fighting women.
No. Hear me out, right? So the testosterone level that he has is no greater than a relevant man of his age. The only difference is in the fact that he has no testicles, he has no ability to naturally produce his testosterone. So instead is getting it like through a tablet.
So I'm reading it here. He gets 36 milligrams of testosterone a week.
See, that's it. So I've got 36 milligrams of testosterone a day because that's how manly I am.
Is that where that beard came from?
That's why my beard goes all the way down to my knees. It doesn't, but it's quite long. So anyway, right. So he does take testosterone because he has to. Now,
yeah, no, but it's just because
but he's not. In this case, he's not doing anything wrong. He's like, I want to compete against the men. They're like, you can't compete against the men. You can only compete against the women. He's like, all right, I'm probably going to win. They're like, but you have to compete against women. And then he's like battering the women. Like, but is it not more? Right. So I understand what you're saying. That fundamentally he is on steroids.
They're allowed because they are dispensed, prescribed, delivered, and administered by a medical practitioner for a valid medical purpose.
Which is what I was saying. Which is, I mean, I don't know. I think I started saying it here in this episode, but we had discussed this just before. Which is essentially that I could go and run 100 meters. By the way, I wouldn't win. But if I got drug tested at the other side and they discovered like a steroid or something in my body, it could be because I had a specific type of asthma or breathing problem or something like that, and I was on a steroid for it. Do you know what I mean? And that means that I'm naturally allowed to have that and it's in my system. Now, in this case, there is an argument, and by argument I mean it's absolute 100% fact, that the testosterone in question that he is taking is going to make his muscles and is going to make him just physically bigger than the women that he's fighting against. But this is essentially standing your ground and making a point. I believe it's like, I want to fight against the men. You can't fight against the men, you can only fight against the women. All right, but I'm probably going to battle them all. Like, I mean, like the only other scenario is saying that he can't compete against either, which is discrimination again.
Well, okay, so I'm reading through the article in the Los Angeles Times that I'm looking at. There was a lawsuit that sought to prevent him from it was seeking to prevent him from wrestling girls. It was dismissed by a county judge. I cannot see anything in there about him saying that he wants to fight men, but I can understand. Going back to what you were talking about.
100% he does. Like, I mean, the only reason this came about, he has asked on numerous occasions to be put into the men's league and not the women's league. I mean, I looked into this.
No, I'm not. I'm not saying I don't believe you, but they've neglected to mention it in that article, which is potentially an editorial decision designed to inflame. It
certainly jades people's opinion on him because it makes him look like he's essentially just like, well, I was born a girl, I'm taking testosterone, I'm going to just kick fuck out of girls and win all the trophies. Fuck you, yeah, bros.
But
beer.
But I also do understand why the law is in place to say that you have to compete under your birth gender, and the reason for it probably doesn't particularly pertain to this situation, although it would pertain to the situation which a lot of the readers of this article
presumed, which is the other way about.
Yeah, like, so if you're born a man, you transition to a lady, but you still have, physical strength and stuff on your side, it would not be fair for you to compete against women.
Yeah,
but essentially that's what this guy's doing.
Like Caitlyn Jenner, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like in that scenario,
who was an Olympic athlete,
could now compete in the Olympic sport as a woman.
Yeah, that would seem unfair to me.
I mean that. Yeah, I mean it would. Like,
but they can't. The lawmakers.
But most sports.
A lot of sports, yeah.
I mean,
not snooker. It shouldn't make any difference in snooker or darts.
And I'm going to be possibly a bit out there with this suggestion, because I'm not saying that men aren't really good at like the floor work and gymnastics, but a man who's transitioned to a woman, to me in my head, would probably be a bit more clumsy than like a
12-year-old Romanian,
a 5 foot 12-year-old Russian. Do you know what I mean? Like, but in the grand scheme of most sports are physical endurance or physically competitive. And in those sports, you're going to find a scenario where if you have transitioned from a male to a female and you were doing something like javelin, you know what I mean? There's a high probability, because you have the bone structure and muscle structure of a male, you're going to be able to fuck a javelin for further than a woman.
But the legislator who is writing that law can't write it as birth men can't compete against women if they transition to women, but birth women can compete against men, because they have to write it as an equality law. So it has to say you have to compete with the gender you were born under. That's the only way that they can write that.
But then, if that's the case, right,
and also legally, if you allow the wrestler Mac Beggs to compete against men, then a transgender woman, i.e. a man who has transitioned to become a woman, might then claim that she then has a right to compete against other women.
No, I understand that, but the problem is you can't tell someone who's transitioned that they can't take part in sports because they've transitioned, right?
No, but maybe you need to have other categories.
But yeah, well, I mean, like, so you could have like transvestite wrestling, which maybe
is it transvestite? It's not the same as transgender, though, is it? Transvestite's just a dude who dresses up as a woman.
All right, a transgender wrestling then. Yeah. Sorry, my left wing liberal terminology was off there. I do apologise. But yeah,
I'm just saying Eddie Izzard's a tranny, as in he's a transvestite, but not a transformer or a transistor radio.
Eddie Izzard is a transistor radio. Yeah,
but he, he's still a guy, and he's still he's ran marathons as a bloke.
Did he run it as a bloke though? Like, did that come up?
I mean, he didn't run it in heels, because that would have been murder.
Oh, he'd have had blisters. Oh, the blisters.
But yeah.
Anyway, so I get what you're saying, right? And I understand that. But is this so? This is this touches on a lot of things that come up in Canada and stuff as well, where like when you talk about how people are perceived, like I would imagine that if common sense is applied, overlooking the law for a second, if common sense is applied, there's probably a scenario where most of the guys who are wrestling wouldn't be bothered if the person they were wrestling against used to be a woman.
I completely disagree with you there. You don't think that they would be bothered?
No. I don't.
See, I do. Like, now, let me qualify that. If it was like a race, if I was running against a transgender man who used to be a woman, I wouldn't have any qualms with that, or playing football or whatever. But as soon as we get into the realms of a combat sport, like if I have to box them or, a mixed martial arts match against them, then you're getting into like grey area and for some people it's psychological, it's down to your culture and what you've grown up with, but your brain's saying, you can't be seen to hit that person, and not even if your brain isn't telling you that, society might be telling you that to some extent. Like, you've got your peers around you in that sport watching you go into that fight. Are you going to hit that person but they might not see it like that, and the individual might not see it like that as well. And you have to, I mean, I understand.
We are trading
No.
ice in this subject.
But you know, it's important to realise that people's opinions on an issue at that point do become important, because there are other women who've refused to fight Mac Beggs in a wrestling match because they believe it to be unfair, right?
So we're clear, I also believe it to be unfair.
Right.
Like, and Mac believes it to be unfair, which is where the problem is. I mean, Mac's under no assumptions that it's unfair that he is fucking battering women.
Right. Now, this hypothetical transgender woman who is transitioned to being a man, who another individual is now, who was born a man and is still a man, is fighting in a boxing match. That transgender person has a right to believe that they are whatever gender they want and to live their life that they are whatever gender they want. But the person that's fighting them also has a right to not agree that that's strictly correct. That doesn't mean that they are allowed to affect how they live their lives, or that they are allowed to insult them or punish them or verbally abuse them in public. But it does mean that they have a right to choose not to fight them.
Oh, well, absolutely. I mean, they can turn down the fight, but that's the different struggle that then Mac has to come up against. That's a different scenario, but we have no right to make that decision. I say we.
The law has no right. You're saying the law has no right to make that decision on their behalf.
A little known fact that both me and Jerry are legislators in Texas, but yeah, essentially the law has no right to make that decision for them. Like, as in, if the guy who is told that he is wrestling Mac refuses to wrestle Mac because he perceives Mac still as a woman, then that is entirely then another hurdle that Mac has to deal with, and the world has to deal with.
But what's happened with Mac is that if those people have refused to fight him, that's chalked up as a win to him. He won. It was 56-0 last year.
Exactly. So, to be honest, whether or not they fought him or not, they were probably going to fucking lose.
Yeah.
So it was a win either way.
It's a kind of, in my head anyway, and you might disagree with me in this, but it's a psychologically slightly different situation for a man fighting somebody who used to be a woman. They consider themselves to be a man, and the majority of people might consider them to be a man now. I personally would address them as a man and treat them as a man because that's how they want to be treated. But the person who's fighting them has a right to still consider them a woman in their head, rightly or wrongly, because they have the right to freedom of thought the same way that everybody else does.
I 100% agree with that. And like I said, and that comes down, that's a different hurdle and a different problem. But the problem is, that is a hypothetical problem. And the problem that is being faced right now is, you have essentially...
So is what we were talking about earlier when we had a pint down the pub, was the gender pronoun issue, the C-16 law in Canada. Now, I do not profess to know that law inside out, but certainly what I struggled with was the idea of the law dictating language around not he or she, but the third pronoun, the je or she or whatever the fuck it is, right?
I mean, but so people are aware of what then I said to you regarding that was kind of a summary of it is, in almost every single case, a transgender man or a transgender woman being called the relevant man or woman to their currently assigned gender will not take any offence for it. The reason that this has came up, the reason that this exists at all, is because you have, which, by the way, there is no other way to summarise these people as assholes that in general public will refuse to accept that person's gender because they don't want. I don't believe that that's a man. I still see that's a woman. So I'm going to call that person a woman. Well, don't be a dick. Like, it's not your place to do it. And that's why this legislation has to come in. See, if people just essentially weren't being cunts about the whole scenario, it wouldn't have came to this. This is a reactive policy to events of people just like not wanting to move away. As I said to you, and the best way I can summarise it is this, is that in 1920s, people thought it was okay for black people to be treated in a certain way. People thought it was okay for black people to not be allowed to sit in the bus because they're not the same as me. They're a different person. They're not worth the same as I am. They were allowed to use what is now classed as racial slurs, the words that we can never speak, for they're like fucking saying Voldemort. Do you know what I mean? It's like words that can never be said because it's frowned upon. All these things were believed by people, and we had to put laws, and we had to put social norms, and we had to force scenario, and we had to force legislation through in a lot of cases to change the mindset of these people because they refused to accept it. They refused to accept it. Like, it didn't matter that everybody was just like, black people are the same as me. You would still have bitter racists who were just like, I don't want them sitting on my bus. They're just this, they're just that. And the reason that legislation exists that protects people of colour and minorities and stuff now is fundamentally exactly that. People refusing to just fucking accept it and move on. And now we're in a scenario where Canada is creating laws and legislation to force people into scenarios, but it's only because people are refusing to just accept the world as it is. Like, I'm a Christian, so I don't have to believe that person was born a woman in a man's body, so I'm not going to refer to that person as a woman. That person's always going to be a man. Well, you're just being a cunt.
I 100% agree, right, that if I meet a person or I'm in interaction with a person who has assigned their gender as a man, I'm going to call them he. Mm-hmm. If they've assigned their gender as a woman, I'm going to call them she, because to not do that would make me an arsehole. Totally agree with you on that. What about the bathroom question then?
They just use whatever bathroom their current gender's assigned to.
And you don't have any issue with that at all?
Absolutely none, in the slightest. See, to be honest, generally speaking as a rule, the amount of people who are either in or not in the toilet or doing stuff in the toilet when I'm in the toilet, it doesn't cross my mind in the slightest. I don't think to myself, oh, that guy went into a cubicle, wonder if it's a woman. Doesn't make any difference.
I mean, what difference does it make? Because
they're doing a piss, man. They're doing a piss.
Well, also, if you've got a problem with a transgender person using the same toilet as you, if you got a problem with a lesbian or a fucking gay guy using the toilet at the same time as you know what I mean? Even
further than that, you get weird things people
because
say.
You don't know that.
I don't know exactly, but people say things as well. They're just like, oh, what if they're a pervert? Well, like, man, you're the one that's thinking about their genitals when you're in the toilet. Like, there's one pervert here, and see if all toilets were communal toilets. It wouldn't bother me.
What if anybody's a pervert?
It wouldn't bother me if all toilets were communal toilets. Like, it wouldn't make any difference to me. Like, it actually wouldn't make any difference to me. Like, yeah, like in the grand scheme of things, it wouldn't make any difference. Like, do you know why? Because if you go to a family party and there's like fucking 60 people at that family party and it's in a house, they're all using the same toilet.
Oh no, of course, yeah.
You know but strangers, you've got.
I think it's the kids. It would be the kid scenario that would be the only reason that I would be like, I don't know about entirely communal toilets everywhere.
Yeah, but
because at what age, right? So when I was, I don't know, say 8, 9, 10, and you were out in a restaurant, you would just go to the toilet yourself, right? So if I had a wee girl who was 8, 9, 10, and she was going to the toilet herself, and there was going to be loads of adult guys there, would I be comfortable with that? I don't know that I would. I mean, so then you would have to go with her.
But yeah, and then is that because you don't trust adult guys?
No, it's because I don't trust some adult guys
But you trust all adult women?
Well, yeah, probably, yeah, and that's my prejudice, and that might not be correct.
I mean, that seems jaded. Like, I'm not taking away the fact that It does seem what I've seen.
What I'm not saying to you that I am right in feeling like that, but I'm just being honest.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I mean, I will. And what I was going to say to you is, I will say that, like, in almost every single case of random paedophile type sex offences, it does seem to be men.
Yeah,
but that could very well be a narrative that's fed to us.
Well, it could also be that female paedophiles are reported less.
And yeah, no, so I mean, if you fuck me, this has went off subject.
I know, but this was supposed to be about fake news, and what was it? This was this is only like the third story. We're like our fourth story we're looking at. No, it's the third. It's the third.
So I mean, fuck me, this went off. But since we're on this fucking train of thought, and we're now in a fucking deep political discussion. See if a teacher is reported having sex with a 16-year-old female, a male teacher.
Yes.
15-year-old, we'll call it. 15-year-old female.
They are seen male
teacher,
female
15-year-old female.
Yeah.
He is seen as a sex offender by everyone. By everyone.
Did you say he's a 16-year-old teacher?
No. I said 16-year-old female, but it says actually make it a 15-year-old female.
Right.
He is seen by...
How old is the teacher?
Fucking old enough to be a teacher. So,
but only just old enough to be a teacher.
Well, that really doesn't make any difference.
Well,
like weird, like that doesn't make any difference. That's a person who's in a position of power, and they're definitely in their mid-20s.
No, right, mid-20s, yeah, right. I'm just trying to picture the entire scenario here. Right. It's obviously wrong. They're
always going to be perceived by everyone, by other teachers, by other pupils, by the media, by their peers when they go in front of a jury. Everyone, they're a sex offender. They're a monster. They were abusing power and doing it. See if the sex roles are reversed. Then
the child is perceived as a lucky motherfucker or whatever.
Pretty much. I mean, and I'm not saying that's right or wrong.
No, neither am I. I'm just saying that is that's what you will read in a lot of places. I
mean, yeah, like loads of people will say it. And the thing is, I understand where the joke comes from, because there is a thing where so me and Jared, we went to school together, right?
We did. I can confirm this.
We were in the same school. If we were all at school together with all the guys that we hung about with, and when we were 15, so we'd have been what, like third year?
Oh,
fourth year?
Yeah.
Fourth year. So we're in fourth year, we're in the year of our exams or whatever. The exams start just after our 16th birthday, birthday. So anything up to about, say, December-ish time or whatever.
March.
But anything up to about December-ish time of that year. If any of the guys that we were hanging about with came into school the next day and said that they had sex with one of the teachers, well, first we wouldn't believe them, right? But there wouldn't... Thinking back now, I don't believe there would have been a thought in any of our heads like, that was wrong.
Yeah, she's a pedo.
You've been taken advantage of.
Well, so let me put this out there, right?
Are you going to talk about...
We won't name names.
So you're going to talk about that, right?
Yes.
Cool.
When we were at school, there was a guy in the year above us who we were friendly with, who had been to the local nightclub of an evening and had kissed a lassie who was in the local nightclub of an evening. And a couple of weeks later, the lassie that he'd kissed came into school as the new music teacher. True?
That's exactly what happened.
Right. So...
And how we all laughed.
We did.
Like,
she didn't. She looked absolutely mortified.
And they didn't let her teach that year because of it. Like...
Is that true?
Aye.
Jesus, we better stop talking about this. But yeah, so... But things like that happen. And you then get into the argument of, well, that person was too young to be in that nightclub. Actually, I mean, he would have been over 16 anyway.
But this is fundamentally but that's still a scenario where, like, in this case, he was over 16. He would have actually been 17. So the issue would have been because of when it was, like, he would have been 17. You know what I mean? The issue here isn't...
Welcome to not another fake transgender pedocast.
So, the issue here, like, is almost like the R. Kelly defense of I met the person in the club, So I have to presume that
In the club.
I presume that the person who is in the club is old enough to be in
For
the
me
club.
to piss on.
Yeah.
What?
Well, I think, to be honest, anyone over about 14 is old enough for R. Kelly to piss on in R. Kelly's head.
History would suggest that to be
But,
true. Allegedly.
Yes.
Libel, drink.
Yeah. So in this case, that's the argument in a specific situation. How the fuck did we get onto that, by the way?
I don't know,
like,
we've really went off on one.
But my point being that when we went to, when that happened, we weren't like, oh my god, I can't believe you ended up pulling a teacher. It was just like, ha 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 ha, that teacher kissed you, ha 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 ha, are you going to try and pull her again? Do you know what I mean? But it was.
Yeah.
So it's like.
Whereas if it had been a girl in her ear and a guy teacher...
Shit, man, he'd have got fucking slaughtered by us all, just like, you're a fucking creepy beast. You know what I mean? So it does get perceived differently depending on where the genders are, and that's...
Although it was Catholic school.
It was a Catholic school. But the only problem is, what we've now done is, they know our age, they know it was a Catholic school, they know where we are. This is lovely, they're really easy to find it. Anyway.
Yeah, but it wasn't illegal anyway.
But it's just the way that the genders are perceived. So genders do get perceived differently across the board. I think that was the entire point of what we were trying to get to with that whole conversation. And so we're talking about people's different perceptions of. It was because you were talking about guys and women and stuff, and you were talking about toilets, and you were talking about mixed toilets. Yeah. Now with the whole communal toilet thing, so I actually do have a son and a daughter.
Yes, I know.
So instead of your hypothetical situation where if I had a daughter, so at the moment, my son and daughter use either of the toilets because their parents are there.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily trust anyone. So being in a guy's toilet or being in a women's toilet, I believe Ibdy's a creepy child
you just mean
thief.
in toilets or in general?
No, both scenarios. But what I was actually going to say to you about the toilets before that was, that see if someone comes into a toilet and this is why I don't understand there's ever a gender issue regarding the toilet, right? See if you're in a toilet and somebody comes into the toilet and goes into the cubicle, do you ever think to yourself, I wonder if he's shitting or if he's actually a woman who doesn't want me to see that he doesn't have a penis? Because see if you do, you're broken.
No, that's never occurred to me.
Exactly. So why is this an issue? You know what I mean? Why is that thing a caught in it?
See, to be honest with you, man, I think the fact that it's been such a talking point over the past wee while, this particular situation, it's just another distraction from what's really going on. You know what I mean? It's something that it's good for us to be talking about this stuff rather than talking about
Syria.
Yeah. Or the Yemen, or whatever else is going on.
North Korea,
Russia. You know, just whatever else is happening, whatever corruption's going on at a high level.
School shootings.
Privatisation, school shootings, gun control.
Floating oil on the stock exchange. HSBC in general.
If we're arguing about, I mean, not me and you, but if society is arguing about whether transgender people should be able to use different toilets, then they're not focusing on what's really important.
See if the suggestion is that a man has transitioned to being a woman so he can then go into women's toilets to be a pervert. The commitment
I have to admire this commitment. Yeah.
Whoa, you've went deep, and that's.
So that what's.
I know.
To do what?
So you can now have a lesbian relationship with someone in a toilet briefly that's in a cubicle. What the fuck? See if you've got a problem. See if you listen to us and you genuinely have a problem with that. Fucking email us and explain to us what the problem is, because it makes not an iota of sense. Do you know why? Because see if you go on holiday in fucking places like middle of fucking Europe, there's a toilet. You use the toilet. That's how it works. this isn't a thing. This isn't a real issue. We probably should move off this subject now. I just found it strange that there was this whole bit about legislation, about people fighting, and the person who was doing the wrestling wanted to wrestle against the guys. The council say that she can't wrestle against the guys, so she has to wrestle against the women. She's battering the women, and people are complaining she's battering the women.
Which I understand.
Where does he or she, or where does, like, whatever they want to perceive her as, you know what I mean? Like, if they want to perceive her as her because she was born a girl, if they want to perceive it as a he because that's what he's transitioned to now, where does he or she sit in this?
The thing is as well, like, at what point, you know, this person has made obviously a difficult decision to transition, and that they, you know, don't identify with their birth gender, that they want to move across to something else. But at what point is that not the Sports Federation of Texas's problem? You know what I mean? Like, why do they have to be
inclusive,
flexible to deal with that situation? You know,
because see, in the next 10 years, the Olympics are going to have to deal with that situation, and professional football is going to have to deal with that situation, and someone's going to deal with the situation, and you're either going to be at the forefront of it, or you're going to be someone putting up barriers. Now, Texas are just so happen to be the one that are being highlighted at the present moment, and it might be the only very specific corner case. But depending on how they deal with it.
So is the end game potentially intergender sports, full stop, like men and women competing at the same sport together?
Hypothetically. I mean, like, let's be honest here, there's definitely, now I don't particularly follow it, but I know you do, there's definitely 2 or 3 women in the UFC that could kick fuck out of a reasonable percentage of the men in UFC.
I don't know that I believe that.
2 or 3 women. I'm not saying
no, but I don't know that. And you know me, right? I'm not in any way. I'm like quite an inclusive person. I believe everybody fucking go about your day, do your own shit, be your own person. I support that. I support everybody to just do the best that they can in their life. Apart from like really rich fuckers, because
they should pay more tax.
Who don't contribute to society. I have a problem with them. But generally speaking, across the board, I like people, and I just want people to be people and be happy.
I hate people.
But honestly, putting my hand up without seeing any empirical evidence, I wouldn't put money on a woman winning a UFC fight against.
First, that was a horrible noise that you just
Sorry,
said.
I wouldn't put my own money on a bet on Ronda Rousey beating a professional UFC athlete, male, in her weight class. Granted, she's not the champion at the moment, but whoever the champion would be at her weight class against a man who is not the champion at her weight class, I still don't think I would put money on her. That maybe that's my own prejudice. I don't know, but I think just because of the physical limitations of a woman's body, I mean, they don't like at tennis and whatever. They don't play the same amount of rounds and stuff like that.
Apart from mixed doubles,
but mixed doubles play less rounds because women are in it, rightly or wrongly. Maybe women are perfectly capable of playing 5 sets. You know what I mean? We're labouring on this.
We're also then venturing very close to a kind of feminist and other scenario, which is definitely another episode at some point or another. So the only reason it was brought up was just because of this exact conversation. The fact that there's so much more to it than has been made out, but I feel so badly for Mac here because
I don't like massively.
I do.
Well, listen, they're twice champion 2 years running with no defeats. How bad can you feel for that person?
No, but all I mean is like that's like, but it's like Mac is doing that out of principle. That's not like Mac wants to fight against the men as a man, right? The reason that I feel bad for Mac in this scenario is like Mac goes into the wrestling knowing that he can probably kick fuck out of a pile of high school wrestlers. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like,
I could probably give a lot of men a good fucking
and as
battering as well.
I'm so glad you finished that sentence. But yeah, so I mean, I don't feel bad in the achievements that Mac has, but I also feel bad because those are going to feel like empty achievements for someone who just wants to be accepted for being a man.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, so there was a story where people, and the whole reason that I even brought it up was just because people lost their shit about it because they didn't know what the story was about before they fucking lost it.
But see, even two people just sitting here who do know what it's about have just spoken about it for quite a wee while. So it is a subject that sparks debate in folk. You know what I mean?
I think we've maybe done about 25 minutes.
I think we've done far too much, right?
What's the next subject?
Black Panther trolls.
Oh, I'm good. I'm glad we went on to an easier subject.
No, so basically what this was why are you laughing so much?
It's just the idea that it's just like, we have to get off this hot topic of the way that transgender people are being represented in society. What are we going to go on next? Oh, lies about black and white violence in the US. Jesus. Right, go.
No, right. So essentially, mad trolls on Tinder jangles on the interweb. I like to call it Tinder jangles sometimes. Is that not cool?
No. It sounds like a dating app for Santa Claus.
Okay, we'll go with that. A couple of people posted up images of violence towards women and claimed that they happened at the Black Panther show that they had been to.
Was it not specifically white women as well?
Both of them were white women, yeah. The ones I'm aware of. So one image, a user shared an actual photo of former White House staffer Rob Porter's ex-wife sporting a black eye. So he was domestically violent towards her, and it was a photo of her afterwards. And this person, Miami Marino on Twitter, went to the hashtag Black Panther premiere tonight and my wife was assaulted. 3 black women approached us and one said, "This movie ain't for you, you white bitch," and then attacked her. Security escorted us to the parking lot and we left. We just wanted to see a movie. This got thousands and thousands of retweets and shares, likes, whatever. The other one was of a 19-year-old from Sweden who was attacked by a man in a nightclub in Malmo after refusing his advances. Lassie called Sophie Johansson. I don't know who the guy was who attacked her. It doesn't say here, although we should probably find that out. But yeah, that one just said, "I went to see Black Panther with my girlfriend," and a black teenager shouted, "You at the wrong theatre," and smashed a bottle on her face. And like the graphic of that is like fucking horrible. Like she's got blood all over her face, all running down on her shirt and shit. So people are trying to spread fake news there against black people, I guess, like for nefarious reasons.
Yeah, so people seem to be really caught up in the fact that, I mean, at one point I seen a post kicking about, I'll see if I can find it again. It was from a source that said something along the lines of, how come this movie's just got loads of black people in it? Like, well, it's in Africa. So that's a good start, really. Because, like, Africa is full of black folk. I don't know if people are aware of such scenario.
I think if you're asking that question,
you're probably an asshole.
Yeah.
I mean,
because most movies have loads of white people in them. Like
they're based like America and the UK and stuff like that. And most people are white, and then there's the odd black person because like even in Asgard, it turns out there's the odd black person. Who'd have thought?
Yeah, but fine. I'm no identity politics is a dead end. I've came around to the idea that identity politics is a dead end, and it actually could be the end of fucking liberal and inverted commas left if we don't fucking watch ourselves, because I think it is an intellectual dead end. The more I fucking hear intelligent people like Sam Harris and stuff talking about it, I worry about how it backs us into a corner and it prevents us from actually approaching things as an entire united left. But
identity politics has got nothing to do with left-wing policy. It's got nothing to... It's just
No.
mostly taken up by people who are left-wing political, but it has nothing to do with left-wing
no, it has
politics.
nothing. Well, it's nothing to do with the left wing politics that I'm interested in. Like,
It's got nothing to do with actual left-wing politics.
it doesn't matter to me what fucking. Anyway,
Like I said to you earlier on, Stalin was pretty left-wing. Stalin
was a prick.
didn't like gays.
Yeah.
Now, that's not... there's a prime example of someone who is absolutely left-wing. Now, granted, he was a smidgen authoritarian for my liking, but he didn't he wasn't big on gay people or people of different religions or anything like that. Like that's not the same thing. Being politically left and then being pigeonholed into some kind of snowflake libtard scenario, that the terms that they use, like it's not the same thing. Just because I believe that we should have fucking working social policies in a country doesn't necessarily mean that I believe that we should be using certain terms for people who are transgender, or people should have certain rights, or everyone should have an opinion, or kids should all be given a gold star just for showing up every day. That doesn't necessarily mean those things. That's not politics.
Does it not worry you that people are going out of their way to pretend that has happened? Like, it looks to me like people are deliberately trying to incite racial division in America at the moment.
They absolutely are, though. I mean, there 100% are. Like, right now, racial division is, like, and I know we're going to get to it in a minute, right? But look at the way when we done that episode, that gun episode, Jesus. But when we done that episode, look at the way that the gun crime differences are in the US, you know what I mean? Look at the way that they're reported different in the US. Look at the way mass shootings are reported different in the US. Like, white people are never terrorists in the US. Do you know what I mean? Like, so even the media, in the most basic term, report things in such a different way to cause racial divide. Now you've got a movie, the first movie in pretty much existence that is a Hollywood blockbuster movie, and it is a fucking actual genuine blockbuster movie, as in it's breaking bank for fucking the turnover for the amount of people that went to see it, and it's like the first movie in existence where like everybody's black. Like,
of that type.
Yeah.
Apart from the two white guys for The Hobbit.
Aye. But pretty much like it's the first action.
I heard those were Donald Trump's favourite folk, innit?
Aye, the only two bits that he just like, I want to see more hobbits. Shut up, you what's it prick. But aye, so it's a groundbreaking movie for a whole load of things. So the reason that people want to do it is because see people who are inherently racist, they don't want to see black people succeeding on TV because that makes them sad, because they believe that they are better than black people based on colour of the skin because they understand genetics so fucking little. And the reason they understand genetics so fucking little is because they're fucking morons, and that's the reason that they believe that in the first place.
Well, I think for sure it's something that people should be watching out for. You know?
Yeah, I mean, see when you see reports, anytime you see reports that essentially insinuates some minority was attacked by some other minority, look into it as much as you can, because see, no matter what...
You can do a reverse image search on Google, for example, and a quick reverse image search on Google from those Twitter images which were shared would have shown you exactly where those images originally came from, and would have showed you that it was bullshit. So just be vigilant. If you care about whether the information that you're receiving is false or true, then check. You know what I mean?
It's like, see when crimes like this are reported, especially, see when it's reported with see in the grand scheme of things, very few actual crimes occur because of race. They occur because of poverty, and they become because of socio-economic conditions, and become like, you know what I mean, like they've got social status, but it's not necessarily because of race, like as in, it's not like because those people were white, or those people were black, or those people were Asian, or like it's not, it's usually to do with, I mean, it's fucking almost always to do with poverty. Always.
I think you would need to be looking at the data to say that. I mean, certainly the biggest mass killing of an amount of people in America the most amount of people in America at one time would have been 9/11, right?
Had nothing to do with this.
It had something to do with religion.
Aye, religion, but don't fucking. That's another problem.
Okay, don't
mix them up.
conflate religion with race.
Yeah,
but they were all from one place, one part of the world, and it would be foolish to suggest that they weren't.
Who were all
the people who
perpetrators
allegedly perpetrated it. Yeah.
Yeah, right. No, but that doesn't mean that like
most of them were from Saudi actually.
Aye, and the other ones were from Egypt
and the UAE.
So none of them were from where we were told. Anyway, that's a different issue within itself.
None of them were from Afghanistan or Iraq.
No, but they needed freedom, and also they had loads of heroin and oil. But that's not related. And they were actually working towards having a universal gold standard that was away from US oil. But anyway, that's a different issue. But even in that scenario, even if that is a religious problem, like.
Well, it is 100% a religious problem.
Aye, but religious isn't, like, essentially, religious isn't, like...
Islamic extremism is nothing but a religious problem.
No, you're missing what I was going to say there. Religion isn't a genetic thing, though.
No, of course it's not.
You're not genetically religious. Like, you might be from an area of the world, so more likely to follow a religion.
No, that's true.
It's got nothing to do with race. So racism is never really the problem. Like, it might well be religion. Essentially, see when you look out right now, see if you're in America or you're in the UK and you look out right now and you go to a shop or you go to a taxi or you go to a petrol station or you go to one of these things that inevitably are usually owned by someone who is from the Middle East in some way, shape or form. Do you know what I mean? Like the things that are intrinsically...
Or Pakistan.
Yeah. But you don't know their religion based on their colour. So see, presuming that person is a Muslim, that's because you have been taught that by the media. That's what that's what it is. It's not a race thing. It's not a race thing. Just because a guy is essentially brown or black or white doesn't mean that they're Christian or Muslim or Jewish. It doesn't. You know what I mean? It doesn't.
Doesn't, right? But it doesn't. But the I would say the vast majority of grocery shops or newsagents in our area, which are owned by people from that part of the world, or restaurants who are owned by people from that part of the world, as in Pakistan, India, Middle East, are all Muslim.
I'd say that a reasonable percentage of them probably identify as Muslim.
Yeah, okay.
I'd say a
they
lesser
might not be practicing.
Yeah, I'd say even a lesser percentage of those that identify as Muslim actually practice as Muslim. Like,
but they're not identifying as Hindu or anything else. Like,
but still some do. So to presume that the brown guy in front of you is a Muslim just because he's a brown guy in front of you, like that.
Well, I don't necessarily buy the idea that assuming that they're Muslim is necessarily a bad thing. I think that's based on empirical evidence. I think if 90% or 95% of the people who you have met who do that job and are of that colour of skin are from that part of the world, in the part of the world you live in, to assume that they're Muslim doesn't make you a bad person.
But I'm not saying you're a bad person.
All you're doing is working on statistics.
Yeah, but I'm not saying you're a bad person. What I'm saying
is
it's
bad if you then treat them.
It's not. But what I'm saying is that has nothing to do with race, though.
No. Well, okay, you say that, but again, and certainly in the place that we live in, and I would say in the majority of the UK, if you are not white, there's a much higher chance of you being Muslim than there is if you're white. How many white Muslims do you know?
Wait, do you know, but there's only, essentially, Islam is like the biggest religion, do you know what I mean? Like, it's available after your white Christianity, do you know what I mean? So, most people are going to be, like, it actually works out even more importantly with black people, right? You can't tell if a black person is Christian or Muslim.
Oh, no, of course not. Yeah.
Right? And there's a whole shitload of people in Africa who are black and Muslim.
Yeah.
And a whole shitload of people who are black and Christian, right?
Yeah.
So if you extrapolate that scenario, in the event that, you know, there's crime to do with black people and white people.
But I don't look at black people in the UK and make a judgment call that they are probably Christian or Muslim. But I would be lying if I said I don't look at Indian or Pakistani people or people who look like that's where they're from and make a judgment call on what I think their religion is. I would be lying if I said that. And I think you probably do too.
I genuinely never even think about it. Like, I don't think about it. I put so little care into religion, religious teachings and stuff like that. Like, I have my own beliefs.
I think it's interesting to know what someone's religion is, because actually, like, particularly for Islam, know quite a lot about it. So it interests me to spark up a conversation with people who are Muslim to see, you know, where they come at it from and what they believe, what they don't believe. Because I know enough Christians that I can converse with to know what they believe, what they don't believe. Most of us believe fucking practically nothing.
So this is exactly where my problem. This is why I don't care, because I believe that about 95% of anyone that ever tells you they're in a religion that you'll ever meet is actually a non-genuine practicing.
Yeah, but that's how
religious
you
person.
know. That's not how the only way you can know is to actually start having a conversation with them about
No,
it.
because what they'll do is, because I can talk right now, I could take you to Christians right now who will tell you they're Christian, who will tell you they go to church and who do the Bible and who don't actually follow the teachings.
Yeah, but
when they start,
it's not about following the teachings. I mean, they wouldn't be able to tell you about this part or that part or whatever else. Like, I like to, what I like to do is sometimes, you know, if I'm in a taxi or whatever, I'm like, where are you from? I'm from Pakistan. Whereabouts in Pakistan? I'm from, I don't know, fucking Peshawar. Cool. Are you a Muslim? I'm a Muslim. Sound. Do you practice? Yeah, I do. We jang about this, we jang about that. And you can find out quite quickly whether they actually really give a fuck about it or whether they don't. You know what I mean?
high probability they don't.
Yeah. Well,
And
most of them
they
don't.
pretend like not just Muslims. That goes with Christians as well.
Oh, of course. But we all
Even more so, I think.
we know that. I don't know. But anyway, I don't know. Again, we're fucking way off the subject.
We have subject. But anyway, what I was trying to get to there is you'll probably actually find in most situations when somebody's reporting that when somebody's reporting that a crime has been perpetrated from a race point of view, that they have an agenda for doing so, and it's probably not a race crime. Like, as in, you mug someone because they have more than you, not because they're white or black.
Yes, and
You know
because
what I
you're
mean?
poor.
Yeah. And it's
Or because you're like, you've got a drug problem and you're trying to get money for drugs.
yeah, but it's got nothing to actually do with race.
And you're more likely to have a drug problem if you live in a
poor area.
Yeah.
And you're more likely to be of an ethnic, a non-affluential ethnic group of the area if you live in the poor area, because that's where people get ghettoized and the like.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
So that's why it looks that way on paper, but when you actually investigate into it, they probably couldn't tell you the colour of the person that they mugged. You know what I mean? Because they don't care. They were mugging for money, not for colour. And when someone pushes agenda like Black Panther should have been a celebration of the world moving forward, and instead people are still trying to claw it back down to a black and white issue. That's mental.
Has MD seen it yet? Have you seen it yet?
No, man, I'm dying.
I say it anybody. I think.
Has anybody seen it yet? Just there's me and you in this room. I like to think that a few thousand people were just like me.
I'm hoping to see it.
Headphones on.
I'm hoping to see it tomorrow if we've not been snowed in the house.
Is it still snowing now?
No, not right now. But honestly, an unhealthy amount of snow fell in a very short amount of time. Right, so next, Korea. Korean sanctions got heavier.
And the reason they got heavier is because essentially America said they've been too nice, so they're up to something.
America didn't say that, but Trump did.
The leader of the Americas.
Yeah,
King American.
I think from reading Michael Wolff's book, pretty much everybody round about Trump spends most of their time trying to make him say less.
Apologising.
And trying to make him do what they want him to do. So yeah, but
like pay off prostitutes.
He's quite well. She wasn't a prostitute, but we'll get on to that later. So yeah, so Korea, the US have imposed more North Korean sanctions. Trump has warned of phase 2. They said on Friday, just past, that it was imposing its largest package of sanctions to pressure North Korea to give up its nuclear and missile programs. And Donald Trump warned of a phase 2 that could be very, very unfortunate for the world. I don't know why he's fucking Jewish or
Oi!
Although apparently he likes to use Jewish words like schlong and shtick and stuff like that. So the US have sanctioned, this is mental, they've sanctioned one person, 27 companies, and 28 ships. Just one guy.
Just like a guy in North Korea is just like, I'm going to head over to America next week. Just like, oh, no, can he? Oh, no.
And they also proposed a list of entities to be blacklisted under separate UN sanctions, a move aimed at shutting down North Korea's illicit maritime smuggling activities to obtain oil and sell coal.
That's weird, because I imagine that right now...
Buy oil! Sell coal! Just a wee North Korean guy.
The one that's sanctioned. Now he's been sanctioned. They don't know what to do. It's just fucking oil and coal as far as the eye can see. The biggest problem here is that, see if they actually want to buy oil and coal.
No, they don't.
But if they want to buy oil and coal...
But they don't.
What, the Koreans?
No, they want to buy oil and sell coal. You weren't paying attention.
They can probably get it off of their allies, like Russia.
Well, and China.
Aye,
which
China.
is clearly what they have been doing, which is why they've shut down ships and companies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think later on in the article it talks about how they're trying to stop their illicit smuggling activities. Blah 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 blah. The target included a Taiwan passport holder, which. It says it included. They've already said it was just one person, and then they've said it included the Taiwan. So the guy was for Taiwan, basically.
So we know who it is. The one Taiwanese guy who's in North Korea right now, who now looks like he's staying there for a while. So there's sanctions imposed on that man.
Yeah.
So,
like his bank accounts and stuff will have been closed down.
That's what I was going to ask.
It's a big deal. That's a big deal. Like, see, actually, totally going off subject and away off on a tangent. See the Russia inquiry into Trump and the people around him. Mm-hmm. Jared Kushner's obviously been quite heavily pulled into that because him, Donald Trump Jr. and Ivanka were at the major meeting, which is in Trump Tower, which is the biggest focus of this investigation at the moment. That allows the special investigators to start looking into Charlie Kushner's business interests, his father, who we both know has already been in jail, and who blackmailed his brother-in-law by making a prostitute, by paying a prostitute to go and fucking blackmail him, basically, because his brother-in-law was selling him to the feds. He went down for that. So
did she.
But they so the biggest issue that you face by being investigated by a special investigator is they kind of have carte blanche to roll that out as far as possible, and when they start looking into finances, it's entirely possible that they could look into Charlie Kushner's finances, freeze all of his assets, and overnight shut down all of his businesses. Trump, if they look at Trump's transactions, and it's very easy if you have a look in Google and you look into Trump's business history and some of the people he's associated with, it's very easy to see how quite easily his transactions with various people in Russia and Israel, particularly Israel in the case of Charlie Kushner, could land him in hot water and lead to sanctions being put on him and lead to his assets being frozen. And that is the biggest threat to the US presidency at the moment.
It was very close to that exact scenario just prior to be given the presidency.
Yeah, Rico.
Yeah, it was. That's exactly what was going to happen.
And he settled.
And he settled. So I would imagine that
he won't be allowed to settle as the US president.
No, and I also imagine that even though he settled, he doesn't want that band-aid pulled off that scenario anytime soon either, because there's much more. Like that settlement was purely a goodwill gesture because he was becoming the president. I mean, that's the only reason that he got away with that. That's the only reason that he didn't get his assets properly frozen.
I don't know enough about that to say whether that's true or not, but certainly he paid a substantial amount of money to get rid of it. I think about $800 million to get rid of it. Now,
that's where your money's going, taxpayers of America.
With North Korea, and the sanctions that have been put in place, as you said, the reason that Trump's given for it is contradictory to his previous statements about, we need to get rid of their nuclear arms, they're being too aggressive, etc. He said what?
They're now being too nice. Essentially, it's a charm offensive by them. He's said that, essentially joining forces with the South Koreans, inviting them over for like dinner or whatever, like just generally being nice, being relatively pleasant, is actually a totally shady sequence of events that
We're not going to stand for this shit.
and we're not going to stand for them being nice. We're not going to stand for them being aggressive, and we're definitely not going to stand for them being nice. We're going to stand for neither of those things. Jerry's standing and making a mess and a noise. But yeah, so essentially his problem is that they're being too nice now, and they're up to something. Those crafty Koreans.
I would suggest that perhaps Trump could learn something from being charming.
I mean, I find this weird, right? Because like, as much as like, I think that Korea is far from a utopia or anything, but one of the things that,
So they are.
but they did say that they were only. I mean, they essentially have always suggested that they were only trying to arm themselves so they didn't feel threatened by, well, America, but by people who could be threatening them. And that was the main reason. Now they have armed themselves to the point where people have now respected that they have a nuclear arsenal, and they're now like being
So
nice.
now they'll stop killing people in death squads and feeding everybody wonderfully. They'll start just looking after everybody and giving them a high level education and make sure that everyone's treated equally.
One thing at a time. So
Yeah,
but
I'm not buying that.
no, but at the same time, like, that's what they said they were going to do, and for all intents and purposes, that's what they're currently doing. Like, you know what I mean? That's essentially what they said they were going to do. They were going to arm themselves, and then after that, they would stop being cunts. And they've armed themselves, and now they're trying to at least create some form of what looks like peace with South Korea. Is there an ulterior motive? Probably. Seems like there probably would be, but at the same time, like,
Well, also maybe Trump's master plan has worked, and they've put pressure on North Korea, and they are now worried to the extent that they've decided to start reaching out and being diplomatic and nice towards their neighbours.
maybe, but there's a poor wee Taiwanese guy right now who's just like, how come I've been fucking roped into this? What the fuck did I do?
He was trying to sell things that were illegal under UN sanctions to sell.
But the UN's actions that have got more and more extreme for very little benefit.
But I mean, regardless of whether you agree with the law or not, we're all expected to abide by it, right?
Well, yeah, but now to impose
there's
higher sanctions on a country that is now, that has for the first time in the last fucking 40 years shown that they are trying to make an effort to build bridges with their neighbours, the area of contention to this entire scenario. Do you know what I mean? Like, they have literally extended, whether it has an ulterior motive, whether
almost definitely does.
yeah, I know, but we can't say that it
No,
does.
we
you
can't.
know
We
what I mean?
can't. No.
But to then impose more sanctions on them under the grounds that they're being too nice, so they're up to something, is an asshole move.
Well, yeah, but I think as much as he has said that, I'm sure that in the background, that's not the foreign policy objective, or certainly I very much doubt that the US representative to the United Nations, which I think might be Dina Powell now, I very much doubt that they've approached the United Nations and went, fucking
What are they
these
up
North
to?
Koreans are being far too nice.
What are they up to?
I propose this list of increased sanctions against them in order to stamp out this nicety.
As we discussed in the episode, though, essentially that list of sanctions, the UN have got two choices. Either enforce those sanctions that America have suggested, or America will go over their head. That law was brought into place. The ability to do that by America was brought into place. We discussed it in the Korean episode. And that's what the problem, like, essentially America can just say, these are the sanctions that are being imposed.
I just wish so much that America and North Korea could sort out their differences, so I can get my hand in some of those sweet, sweet North Korean sculptures.
Didn't know you were going to go with that. See, I was wondering, like, you know how...
Did you think it was going to be a corner store advert?
Okay. So see, funny you should say that. So do you like shaving? No. See, you know how you get like Korean beef? Is that North Korean or South Korean?
Do you get Korean beef?
It's one of the things, like sell it down there.
Oh, you mean like at a Chinese restaurant or whatever? Yeah, but I mean, Korean beef is a recipe
Yes, I know.
rather than a product.
Yeah, no, but is it a South Korean or North Korean recipe?
Well, I guess it depends on how old it is, doesn't it? Because at some
Just
point,
a Korean
at
recipe.
some point, Korea was, one and the same.
I'm just wondering, like, if we start getting all this problem sorted, there might be like all sorts of quality cuisines kicking about, and you make a face saying the cuisine in North Korea can't be that good. I'm sure it must be.
Well, I know that it's fertilised with human feces, and that doesn't...
I'm not going to North Korea to buy the food, I just want the recipes.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe, I mean, I've been in South Korea.
This is why I'm asking you.
Well, so Korean, like, to me, Korean beef is like, like, if you go to a Korean restaurant in Korea, you have a barbecue pit in the table.
Aye.
And you'll get various types of marinated meat.
It's like, but there's a sticky marinated meat. It's like,
it's like Korean ribs kind of stuff.
Specifically corn flour sort of sauce.
But you barbecue it yourself. You put it over the coals and you heat it up yourself and whatever, and you get like a white glove that's wet, like a kind of cotton white glove, and then a sort of clear plastic heat-proof glove over the top of that. So you just you don't need tongs or that. You just pick the hot meat straight up off the barbecue and you eat away in it, and you look like Michael Jackson. You're like, hee hee, and you try not to touch wines. So that's
not like Michael Jackson.
I know, but you get into the persona, and I don't know. They also they have a thing in South Korea. Look, I'm looking at you here to confirm or deny this, right?
I have a feeling I know where this is going. Are you about to talk about live octopus?
Yeah, right. So I don't know if this is right or not. I one of those things that you get told in a bar or whatever in South Korea by a South Korean guy, and you think, is this guy just taking the fucking piss out of me or what? But I was told...
Christine as well. Christine knows a lot about Korean culture as well. There's two of them.
Oh, yeah.
We've got a couple of Korean experts, weirdly.
So they had a thing hanging behind the bar, which was like a very long pole with I say a very long, like half a metre long pole or whatever, with a small kind of scimitar or scythe type hook, but more of a tight crescent than that wee hook at the end of it. And we were like, what's that for? And he was like, oh, they had a wee tank of like little kind of small octopus. And he was saying that some of the locals, it's like a delicacy, like they'll drink and then they'll eat like the baby octopus live. And the hook on the pole is there in case it twists in their gullet and starts to choke them, so they can just put it down their throat and fucking hook it out. So if anyone can confirm whether that's true or call it out as complete bullshit, drop us a line at info@notanotherfakenewscast.com.
Oh, so what the fuck? That's no dinner. That's no dinner.
Maybe it's really tasty.
I doubt it.
I mean, little, what do you call them?
I don't know, you've given me so little.
You know the squid rings, the battered squid rings?
Aye, calamari.
Calamari, right. So the squid rings are okay, but I really like the little baby ones that with the wee tentacles in it. Like it's like a whole little baby squid that they dip in batter and just fry off. Those are amazing. A, because they're like tastier and there's like all kinds of different texture elements going on in them. But B, because you can pretend you're like a fucking giant eating an entire squid at once.
Do you know we're 2 hours into this episode?
Jesus Christ. We have spouted so much shite.
Like,
It's not even funny.
People are actually going to listen to this podcast and halfway through they're just going to be like, "Oofed, you fucking went off on one here."
Right, so Korean sanctions too nice. Done. Kinda. Good Friday Agreement is what I'm going to get on to next. So, there has been, over the past couple of weeks, a real movement in the Brexit side of things, which is basically moving towards denouncing the Good Friday Agreement, which is a fucking ridiculous state of affairs. And essentially, it hinges on a subject that we've spoken about quite often on the podcast, which is that you cannot put a hard border between the North of Ireland and the Republic of Ireland without contravening the Good Friday Agreement, and you can't not have a border without ensuring that both the North and South remain in the customs union and the single market. But
does that mean that the logical process here is we can't put a hard border here without it going against the Good Friday Agreement? So we'll just get rid of the Good Friday Agreement and put a hard border?
Well, I mean, to me, that seems crazy, but apparently that's exactly the route that they seem to be going down, Paul.
Why would you not then just keep the Good Friday Agreement and build the border? And then means that you could just be like, I know this is went against the Good Friday Agreement, but let's have the rest of it standing, as opposed to get rid of the Good Friday Agreement and just build the border anyway.
Well, I mean, that won't fly either, like, for sure.
At least one of them you can try have it fly. The other one is just get rid of the Good
I
Friday
actually
Agreement.
think legally it's impossible. It's impossible to have a hard border between the North and South without dissolving the Good Friday Agreement. You could potentially amend it, but it was passed in a referendum by, I think, 76% of Northern Ireland and by 94% of the Republic of Ireland, the Good Friday Agreement, when it was ratified in, 1998. So, to start fucking with that is seriously putting the peace process in Ireland at peril. And essentially what has happened here is the Brexiteers, who gave no fucking thought whatsoever to the peace process in Northern Ireland and the Good Friday Agreement when they were pushing their agenda throughout the Leave campaign, have finally came to the conclusion, or have listened to legal advice, that what the two things that they want are not possible with the Good Friday Agreement in place. So they either have to cede to having a softer Brexit and allowing Northern Ireland special status, or the other possibility is that, despite all fucking logic, they can just push against the Good Friday Agreement and start decrying it and denouncing it and claiming that it doesn't work. And that's the secondary route they've decided to go down.
I think Brexiteers in Northern Ireland are... See, so I actually don't believe this is anybody in Northern Ireland.
No, neither do I, because I don't even believe the DUP would be brazen enough to push for this shit.
So I think...
because that would lose them votes.
Yeah. I would say that Brexiteers in the UK will first and foremost get a massive shock when they realise the impact that it will have in Northern Ireland, and as such the impact that it will have in the UK, like the spillover to the mainland, because it will spill over to the mainland in the event they get rid of the Good Friday Agreement. I would take a stab in the dark without being all doom and gloom to say that it would probably bring a new wave of tension.
100%. We've had peace for 20 years, and that's what everybody wants. That's obviously what they wanted, because that's what they voted for. Now, as much as the failure of Stormont to produce a capable government over the past year or two is obviously a concern, and, you know, having to listen to Northern Irish politicians go over the same arguments again and again and again with very little progress is tiresome. It's far an improvement on the previous situation, right?
I mean, with Jerry Adams stepping down at the end of last year from his position, it's the closest they're going to have for like the Sinn Féin side of things to be amalgamated and working alongside the Republic of Ireland. You know
Well,
what I
I
mean?
think
And,
they're
like,
pushing for legitimacy
and
in Ireland.
and actually take up the seats that they might actually get voted in on. You know what I mean? Because up until now they hadn't. Like,
But I think largely Sinn Féin are considered a joke party in the south of Ireland. Like, very little people, even who have largely Republican leanings in the south, would vote for Sinn Féin.
oh no, I know that. But what I mean is the fact that he has stepped down is a olive branch, if you will. It's an indicator to say that.
I think it's less of an olive branch. I think, well, there's a number of things, some of which we really can't speak about because they're purely allegations. However, I expect they may come out in due course, but there are stories running in the background which suggest that Gerry Adams may have been caught up in some dodgy stuff in the past, which there are fears it's going to catch up with him eventually. Now, I would say that those things are...
I would say that without knowing anything about them, Gerry Adams was definitely involved in various levels of dodgy stuff.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about the stuff that people associate him with. I'm talking about things of a...
Sexy stuff.
Yeah, things of a sexual nature and things potentially involving younger people. And that's allegedly, and that's all that I'm prepared to say on the subject right now.
And I am distancing myself from that to fuck.
But yeah, so there's a fear that things in his past might come out to catch up with him. There's also, you know, he's an aging man. He has, you know, maybe limited amount of time left to live his life and has chosen to step back from politics. And also, it's probably a strategic move in order to make them more palatable in the south of Ireland.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was getting to, that it does create a scenario where this is the one time in history where there is a further step after the Good Friday Agreement, do you know what I mean, towards Ireland operating as Ireland. And I don't believe that Gerry Adams stepping down is not part of at least Sinn Féin's decision, that it might be an opportunity, do you know what I mean, that the country might operate closer to being a country soon. And if they get rid of the Good Friday Agreement, shit will get real really fast.
Well, I mean, I suppose politically, if you're forward thinking, you're a member of the Sinn Féin party in Northern Ireland, you don't want to be in a situation where public thought in the south is moving towards the idea of United Ireland and, you know, bringing Northern Ireland into the fold, and to have a major stopping point or, you know, something that's going to put people off, such as Gerry Adams still being the head of the party. But again, I think realistically there may be other reasons behind that. Now, getting back to...
Doesn't make any difference to the Tories.
No, it doesn't. Getting back to British politicians, so in terms of the people who have been decrying the Good Friday Agreement, you've had statements from Jacob Rees-Mogg.
Is he against the Good Friday Agreement?
Well, I mean, he hasn't explicitly said that, but he has
Can he
implied
make money
it.
for it?
Owen Patterson, a former Northern Ireland secretary, retweeted a Daily Telegraph article arguing that the Good Friday Agreement had run its course. So again, you also have the UK press who, you know, the billionaires and non-doms who stand to make a lot of money from the process of Brexit are pushing an agenda here as well.
So you have the same group of people saying the Good Friday Agreement has run its course, and also Jeremy Corbyn, you can't vote for him because he's a member of the IRA.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Like,
there's. I'm not saying that there's any sort of consistency here. You have the Labour MP Kate Hoy telling everyone to listen to her that Remainers are just using the Good Friday Agreement to halt Brexit.
and stop fucking guerrilla warfare across the whole of Northern Ireland.
So, there's a whole lot of things going on. Greenpeace have recently unearthed plans by a network of US and UK right-wing groups, coordinated by Daniel Hannon's Initiative for Free Trade, to argue for the tearing up of EU protection on food safety, animal welfare and environmental protection. The UK government told us that workers' rights would be protected after Brexit. It's now transpired that it's investigating opportunities to cut them under the guise of boosting the economy. So you've got a situation where we know that 76% of people in Northern Ireland and 94% of people in the south of Ireland voted for the Good Friday Agreement, voted for peace, decided that was what they wanted. Sorry, it was 71% in Northern Ireland in 1998. Now, Brexiteers are very good at telling us that they are interested in sovereignty and that they are interested in the will of the people. But it seems that they're only interested in sovereignty and will of the people when it matches up with their ideals.
I mean, like, there's so little for me to actually say in this scenario, because I would take a stab in the dark and say that for the entirety. Well, here's another thing. See if you get rid of the Good Friday Agreement. See Republic of Ireland. They're going to vote against every possible Brexit deal that they put forward by the UK.
Well, they're going to veto it, yeah.
Because they told us that's what they were going to do.
Specifically, yeah.
Anyway, they told us if they'd done anything that would create problems with the Good Friday Agreement, that's what they were going to do. And one of the biggest problems you could have with the Good Friday Agreement is abolishing it. So, yeah, I think it's reasonable to say that from a Brexiteer standpoint, it would be the worst decision you could make.
Yeah. And while we're on the subject of mad Brexiteers, there was a real interesting meme shared on Facebook this past week, which if you follow us on social media, you'll probably have seen us bring up. But yeah, it was kind of kicking around the sort of right-wing Britain First type sites, and it was a picture of, I believe, King John signing the Magna Carta.
It was definitely.
Yeah. And the meme said, "Share if you think British history should be taught in our schools again."
See, to be honest, for anyone who knows anything about the history kind of surrounding the Magna Carta, like, see, trying to get kids to get right into it, it's not going to be thrilling, do you know what I mean? Like, that's not the choice. That's not where you would go anyway. Like, but I think it's reasonable to say history is taught in schools.
British history is 100% taught in schools in the UK.
Technically, it's 60% taught in schools.
Well, no, actually, no. Right, so the GCSE syllabus states British history must form a minimum of 40% of the assessed content over the full course, right? But that's a minimum, first of all, and if you look at the modules which are available to be taught, so British and wider world depth studies may not be taken from the same era of history or from the same overlapping 50-year period. So it has to contain a period of study into British history from any one of the historical eras defined above. And the historical eras are medieval, early modern, and modern. So that medieval's 500 to 1500, early modern's 1450 to 1750, modern is 1700 to present day. Has to be on 3 timescales: short, medium, and long, and on 3 geographical contexts: a locality, the historic environment, British, and European or wider. So you have to be long, short, or medium on one of these. You have to be medieval, early modern, or modern, and you have to be in your local area in Britain and in either Europe or wider than that. So there's massive scope within the GCSE history syllabus to teach British history.
I also done history at standard grade and higher.
Me too.
Granted, that was quite some time ago now. But I can't remember covering a subject that wasn't British history. As in, I can't remember covering a subject that didn't include the British history in it.
I mean, we did quite a lot on the Second World War.
But I mean, I would argue that was British history.
Yeah, but we did look at considerable, like Weimar Republic. So we covered the First and the Second World War. Were you in Mrs. Gunnan's history class?
I was first standard grade. I was,
But not higher.
And then not higher. I was with Mr. Kane.
Right. Anyway, oh fuck that. Yeah. So I can't remember where we done all of these things, but we definitely done.
We did the Weimar Republic. We did
Bismarck. We did the World War One.
Sweet
We did all the way from.
We've done the forming of Germany as a country,
from the Prussian Revolution.
Essentially the forming of Germany right up until the
end of the Second World War.
The Second World War, right up until the Allies and Russia split the country.
Yeah. So that included a lot of Britain,
There was
a lot of Germany as well.
Yeah, I mean,
and France, and
that
much less on Russia.
That was probably the European. We did because we done the Austro-Hungarian Empire.
Aye, but from the perspective of the war, like the Austro-Hungarian Empire was that got to do with fucking Russia?
But it ends up being part of the USSR. That was the logic in my head when I was saying it. Like we did end up covering. You know what I mean? We covered some with the Balkan states and stuff like that as well, didn't we?
Again, basically we covered the breakup of the Ottoman Empire and how that created the fucking void that caused the First World War.
This is why sometimes you meet me and Jerry, you just think your chat
is awful. The assassination of the Archduke Franz Ferdinand in Serbia by the Black Hand. He was the fucking prince of fucking
Austro-Hungarian Empire.
Yeah.
They were there celebrating weirdly the dominance of his empire in the area, which wasn't loved by the Yugoslavians. Was it the Slavs? Is that where they got killed? Yugoslavia? I'm sure it was.
I don't know if Yugoslavia was even a thing back then. Anyway, we're way off subject again. Fucking British history is getting taught in our schools. Stop talking shite.
I remember literally being taught about fucking window ticks. I remember specifically being taught about
window tits.
Window tits.
Oh, those are some of my favourite kind of tits.
I'm my favourite kind of windows.
When they push them all up against.
Anyway.
So, next.
So essentially what Jerry was getting to there is that's a fucking lie, man. They do teach history. So what we got next?
Well, there was a few things. We've got Trump's affair with the Playboy model, which I don't want to get into the salaciousness of it because I don't necessarily agree with that kind of news.
Essentially, and the long and short of it is that they're lying to you about a whole shitload of stuff. She's been paid off by a component of the Trump team, which has bought the story so that the story wouldn't break to the main news. But following that, she has also stated in the story that Trump paid for hundreds of shit by her prior to this event. So there's no logical reason to presume that Trump didn't just pay for the story to be paid off to.
That's exactly what he has done. Yeah. So AMI, America Media Inc., are the publishers of the National Inquiry. The CEO and chairman is a personal friend of Donald Trump.
So he has a terrible taste in friends.
And it's a tactic which is called catch and kill in the tabloid industry. So you pay more than anybody else to buy the rights to a story in order to bury it, usually in order to exert power or for some kind of payoff from the subject of the story.
Yeah, you take a story about Bill Clinton getting a blowjob in the White House and you bury that story and instead you say, well, Bill, you need to make sure that all the press releases come to my story.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. It's all about leverage and power. Now, the terms of this contract mean that the lassie in question, who his name is McDougall, what's her name? Fucking something McDougall. Karen McDougall.
Fonda Penis McDougall.
She's a former Playboy model. She was runner-up for Playmate of the 90s behind Pamela Anderson. So sought after, I suppose.
She probably looked right good in the 80s.
Or 90s, apparently, because she was Playmate of the Year in the 90s.
Aye, so she probably looked right good in the kind of 80s and 90s era. I'm guessing it was in like, anyway.
She might have been too young in the 80s, probably. Well, that's what you're saying.
Good point. I don't know what age she is. I mean, she wouldn't have been too young for me. I'd have been quite young then.
Now, he was married to Melania, and she was either pregnant with Baron, their first son. No, it was a few months old. Baron. Yeah, Baron
fucking, Trump. Honestly, there's no words. That man is a fucking president of the United States of America. His son is fucking named after a fucking aerial ace from Germany.
Now, the terms of her contract, basically what happened was AMI bought a book deal from her, and the terms of that contract means that she is not allowed to speak to anybody else about any affairs which she has had with any married man.
What does that say about her? How many affairs has she had with married men?
Well, I think it's obviously been written specifically to make sure that she doesn't speak about Donald Trump, but also written in a way which doesn't specifically mention Donald Trump.
Or she shagged hundreds of married men.
Now, bear in mind Trump's history of litigation. The Ronan Farrow at the New Yorker was happy to publish an entire article detailing the exact ins and outs of this affair.
10 ins and outs.
Yeah. Where I think there was only a couple, to be honest.
Nasty.
It was like in, out. Ah! And then he ate a burger.
An explosion of Cheeto dust.
But interestingly, the story which she tells of how the affair was conducted and his eating and viewing habits all tie in with the story from the other adult movie star and Playboy model Stormy Daniels, who he's had a kind of more publicised affair with, and stories which have came from numerous other women, all say that it was in a villa in the Beverly Hills Hotel. All say that he ate steak and mashed potatoes every night, and that he was a big fan of Shark Week, weirdly. So yeah, that's...
So he watches Shark Week, eats steak and potatoes every night, and bangs porn stars?
Yeah.
President?
Yep. God bless America. So, moving on again, that takes us to what's happening at the moment with Saudi. So, right now, as in today, I believe, the UK are receiving the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, or the Saudi King, Salman, sorry.
It was a prince up until very recently, though, wasn't he? He's the prince in... He's the prince in waiting for a while there, and he's now
managed to seize power. At roughly the same time that he tied himself in with Jared Kushner in the Trump presidency, actually, he's manoeuvred this quite well, and actually, in fairness, the Trump camp has manoeuvred this quite well in terms of benefiting them.
Is he not quite involved with the whole floating in the oil and stuff as well? I mean, it probably doesn't serve it out. The British government might be heavily concerned with the fact that someone who's so heavily tied in with the Trump administration might not be willing to take this to the UK, even though HSBC have all but done the deal.
We'll see what happens in the next couple of months. It's going to be an interesting one. I really want it to be London just so we can be right and be appalled.
Oh, we will high horse the fuck out of that if it ends up being London.
But yeah, interestingly, the day before he is coming to make a public appearance in Britain for the first time the first time a Saudi head of state has been in the UK for a number of years.
Essentially it's his first event as Saudi head of state as well, isn't it?
They've sacked all of their top military commanders. So you have to ask yourself, why have they done this? Is it purely to combat any difficult questions which they're going to receive about Saudi's continued bombing of the Yemen?
Yeah, killing the people of the Yemen.
The people of the Yemen.
Yeah. The Yemenites. The Yemenamis.
The Yemenites. I don't know.
I'm sure that was borderline and unoffensive somewhere there.
It was the Israelites, but I mean
Can
the
you-
Yemenites.
Can you let us know, would you buy a t-shirt that says the Yemen on it? Like written like a band, like maybe with tour dates on the back?
Jesus, Paul. But what would what tour dates instead of tour dates? instead
instead of tour dates, because it's not a word, we would have tour dates.
Instead of tour dates, it would be like what? Bombing campaigns? That's fucking bad taste, man.
I mean, like,
I mean, in fairness, that was my idea now.
I hadn't thought about it up till now. It's kind of dark. It's probably something similar to that. Like,
What about instead of the Yemen, just the yeah, man.
no, the Yemen, like
The
just
Yemen.
like the like. I can visualize it. I think it might work as a t-shirt. I'd wear it.
Seriously though, like, do you think there's a possibility that they have fired all of the heads of the military? They haven't really fired them, but they've just fired them on paper, put them in another position, so that when he comes to the UK today and inevitably gets tough questions from the UK press, he can just go, yes, well, this is why I fired all of my military generals.
I got them all to fuck. Like, why have you got a needlessly fucking treacherous bombing campaign, murdering thousands of people and deliberately spreading cholera across all of the Yemen? It was them. I got rid of them. It had nothing to do with me.
By the way, I would like to point out that King Salman is still in charge, but the son, the Crown Prince boy, is kind of de facto in charge at the moment. So he's kind of swooped in. He's taking charge. Like, if you look,
He's probably been given charge because he went about fucking murdering everybody that was related to him.
there's a few articles kicking around which we'll post up, which kind of show you how he has, in a short space of time, really took control.
Did they not get rid of all of the other princes? Like,
I mean, he's not killed them, but he's
got rid of them though. Like, as in,
he's outmaneuvered them, is what I would say.
all of them got holiday homes in the Yemen.
He's outmaneuvered them. But yeah, the Saudi intervention in the Yemen conflict was apparently down to the Crown Prince. And obviously it's failed miserably. Cost a lot of money in a time where Saudi's in big austerity because the oil price dropped so far as well.
I've got yous all holiday tickets to my Kurdish mate's home in Syria.
Who likes sarin gas? So
I've got this holiday home in North Korea. It's really nice. Yeah, it kind of looks like a nuclear test site, but don't let that fool you.
So that's happening. That's the other bit of news. And lastly,
that's good because we're at 2 hours and 51 minutes. Now, if you take away the fact that we've got about 15, 20 minutes of the stuff that I have to cut out for the start or the testing and stuff, we're probably looking at about
might want to cut out some of that fucking chat.
2 hours 40. Well, you can't now because I'm going to have to cut this out. You just mentioned it. It says we've got this episode's probably going to be about 2 hours 45 minutes. It's going to be our longest episode.
I was going to briefly mention.
I'm just punching my
Jesus, this is bad, man.
No, but because it's ran so long. I mean, I've actually been given a lot of good feedback about our last roundup episode where people said they really, really enjoyed it because it was a bit more laid back.
Yeah, I know, but
nothing says more laid back than like 3 hours of us talking shit and drinking wine.
Okay, cool. Well,
maybe that's just going to be a new thing. Maybe we're going to get rid of all that fucking studying shit and we're just going to be like talking shit for fucking hours.
I don't know. Like,
do you like it? Do you like it?
I don't think they do. I don't think anybody could possibly like this.
Nobody wants to hear this shit.
Two things that I wanted to bring up.
Go for it. We're in deep now.
First one was the fact that Mark Rowley, who is the exiting head of security in the UK, I can't get that fucking link to open.
Is that a head of security that is leaving the job, or is his specific title the exiting head of security?
Oh yeah, he's leaving the job.
He only works in the exits.
who's leaving the job,
Right.
has
Working for BAE, BBC, HSBC.
fuck knows. Actually, that's a fair point. Like, we should definitely keep an eye on where he goes next.
One would imagine it'll be HSBC, BAE, or oh my
So-
god, I keep kicking this fucking mic stand. Fuck.
The outgoing head of counter-terrorism police in the UK has used his valedictory speech to warn against the rise of the far right as he revealed 4 extremist right-wing plots were thwarted in 2017. Right, so he's an assistant commissioner at the Met, and he's basically said far-right groups and figures are pretty much the fucking same as Islamic extremists in their eyes, in the way that they're operating and in what's happening. He is speaking 2 weeks before his 31-year career in policing comes to a close. He said that 4 extreme right-wing inspired plots were prevented last year. He said the public should be gravely concerned by the existence of National Action, the neo-Nazi group who have been banned recently under terror legislation, and basically talking about how they're organised, and we've never had an organised right-wing threat like this in the UK before, and that they have a great deal in common with Islamic extremism, and it all sounds pretty fucking scary, to be
They're
honest.
heavily religious and all of them are brown. And no, is that one of the things we've got in common?
I think that's what he was talking about. No, he gave the example of the Darren Osborne guy. He's the dude who attacked Finsbury Mosque with a van, and he said he grew to hate Muslims largely due to his consumption of large amounts of online far-right material, including statements from former EDL leader Tommy Robinson, Britain First, and others.
Couldn't imagine meeting a person who completely misunderstood the way the world was and got led astray by alt-right and right-wing propaganda to the point where they become a fucking grade A retard. I couldn't imagine how you could possibly do that as a person.
I could. Met a couple. But yeah, so as far as he's painting it, he said that there were 600 investigations encompassing Islamist, extreme right wing, and other motivations, comprising more than 3,000 subjects of interest and more than 20,000 individuals who featured in past terrorism investigations. I would very much like to see the breakdown of that, though,
I was going to
because
say the list of names.
yeah, well, no, but it would be, okay, 600 investigations, which include Islamists and extreme right wing. What's the breakdown of that? Is it 50-50? Is it 30-70?
What we can do
Is it 10% to 90%?
Well, we can extrapolate, though, that he says that he doesn't view the right-wing extremists as any different from Islamic, right? So we can presume that the numbers is a purely presumption, but from that
I don't think we can.
But from that statement, I would take that it's probably closer to a 50-50% than you would have expected. Do you know what I mean? Like, if they view and they have thwarted so many events that have happened and they view them as no different from each other, you would imagine that they're at least on par. Otherwise, the scenario would be very different. It would be like saying that he would actually have had to say something similar to, we perceive alt-right as, or we perceive the right as being a problem, but still not as much of a problem as Islamic extremists in the country. Do you know what I mean? Like, for him to suggest that he sees them both essentially on par with each other, suggests that the numbers are probably relatively close with divide. Now, I would still presume that it was...
Well, it might, in fairness, right, I'm going to suggest that it might not mean that necessarily, but it might mean that statistically there's been a significant rise over the past couple of years, and hence why he has chosen to warn people about it. Like, this is a thing, this is a growing thing, this is a concerning thing. Make sure you're keeping your eye on it.
Is that not because you're a libtard snowflake, though?
No, that's because I don't honestly believe that at present in the UK that the threat from the extreme right wing is as serious to loss of human life in the UK as the threat of extremist Islamist terrorists. But
Do you honestly not believe that?
Yeah. But I also do believe that the threat of extremist right-wing terrorism in the UK is on the rise.
See, I would say
because the evidence suggests it is.
Purely from my...
And also the evidence suggests the other thing that I said.
Purely from a bias point of view, I would say that the danger that you have is people who seem to flock towards the right with regards to could cause a possible danger.
Do you know what I'm going to say?
From ex-military and ex-police backgrounds and stuff like that,
Yep.
and those people are more dangerous on a one-on-one basis than any random Muslim guy that grew up in like Bradford.
Yeah, but right-wing conservatism is not that far away from. I mean, Islamist extremism is right-wing conservatism. Fuck's sake!
It's right-wing conservatism. It's
right-wing conservatism in another jacket.
It's just a different religion applied to right-wing conservatism.
Exactly.
It's just, instead of being, I mean, the difference in people, I fucking love that you're saying this on a fucking open platform that other people are going to have to hear. Do you know what? See, if you're a fucking right-wing Christian fucking extremist, you are a conservative fucking voter, you are exactly the same as an Islamic extremist. The only difference is one follows the Christian Bible and one follows the Quran, and everything else about your fucking mad mindset and the way that your fucking nationalistic pride is fucking there is the exact fucking same.
I'm going to interject and say that no, that's not correct. And it's visibly and apparently quite easy to illustrate that it's not correct, right? Because you can actually look at quite a few examples at present in Palestine, right? You have Palestinian Christians living in Palestine who are under the same occupation and the same treatment by the Israeli state as Palestinian Muslims. And even before the wall went up,
well, like that side of the moon,
the people who were carrying out suicide bombings were not the Christians and have not been the Christians. And in Egypt, you currently have Coptic Christians being attacked and killed by like Muslim Brotherhood and Islamic extremists, and they're not retaliating in the same vein.
But see,
so you cannot say that the ideologies of Christian.
You can though. It's the application. It's the application of the ideology. That's not the same thing. Okay. The ideologies are fundamentally the same thing.
But they're not going to create the. What I'm saying is that the Christian right wing and that the extreme right wing of the UK is very unlikely to create suicide bombers because of our understanding of because of the understanding of their religion is very different from the understanding.
I would say it's because you don't have martyrs to the cause in the Christian religion because...
Well, you do. What's Joan of Arc?
No. And modern... See, right now, even though I'm using Christian as an example, they will claim to be Christian. I can show you UKIP pages that will claim to be Christian.
They're not Christians.
But they're not the same way that... Muslims,
Christ was a Christian.
Not the same... No, he was... They were probably a bit as close to being Jewish as he was. But he was...
I just pointed at Paul and yeah, good point.
Yeah, nice one. Yeah, I see where you went there, Paul. No, Muslims who operate in an extremist environment are more likely to be actually willing to become a martyr for the religion. People who claim to be Christian but are still in the right and they are conservative have very similar base views as each other. So similar base views as each other. The only difference is none of them are actually willing to put themselves into a martyr position for their cause because they're not fighting for a greater power or good, they're fighting for selfishness. You know what I mean? It's a selfish view rather than a
there's a cultural element to that difference, right?
I'm not. Yeah, absolutely is. I mean, absolutely is. But yeah, I mean, I would say that it's definitely they're so fucking similar. Like,
however, I've just said there's a cultural difference, but I have also given you examples of people who are living in exactly the same culture and environment who are not reacting in the same way.
But as I said, you have a religion which...
So it's the religion that's different.
The religion is certainly different. I mean, like, Islam permits...
In many ways encourages.
Yeah, that's right. That's literally what I went to say, but I was also kind of riffing and trying not to riff into the mic at the same time. But it certainly encourages martyrdom in a way that then makes it really easy for you to be a suicide bomber if you're heavily indoctrinated into the religion. Whereas Christianity essentially almost frowns upon modern Christianity.
Suicide's a sin.
Well, certainly suicide, but then even further than that again.
Although it's also painless.
Even martyrdom in general is kind of frowned upon now in modern Christianity. Now, there was a time where every countrygram was a martyr, do you know what I mean? Like, everybody was being sainted and they were doing that bit. They went all heavy, Jonah Ark and shit.
How's it frowned upon now? I'm not understanding that perspective.
Because you're not in Christian religions, as I was brought up, certainly, taught to
get burned to death.
Taught to, like,
that's true, Paul. Actually, when you put it like that,
like, put the cause above yourself. Do you know what I mean? You're not taught to sacrifice yourself to be, like, God isn't expecting you to sacrifice yourself and everything that you believe in to go to heaven, whereas that is taught in the Islamic religion, but you're not taught that in modern day Christianity. Now, I believe I don't
think that you're taught he expects you to. I think you're just taught that you will be rewarded for doing so.
There's no shit about doing it. Like, you know, if you're going to do it,
you're not going to get hundreds of shit for it.
Oh, what'd you do that for?
Fuck's sake.
Fucking another one. But in Christianity, modern Christianity, we're not taught that. I mean, we're not. As you can probably guess from everything me and Jared have said, we are real good Christians. But yeah, it's taught differently. It's not. It's. If you were to put your religion above humanity in modern Christianity, that would be frowned upon by most modern Christians. Like, you are meant to put yourself out to help another person. But very rarely does it come up in the Christian Bible that you're asked to murder a pile of people in the name of God.
Well, in the New Testament,
right? Like, can we before we go on to our last subject, can we just read it? See, the Old Testament, it's just the Torah, right? It's just the Jewish Bible.
Well, no, that's not true either.
It is, though.
No, it's not.
It is for the most part.
I believe I'm correct in saying, and I will check this out right now, that the Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament. There are many more books in the Old Testament.
Many more?
Yeah. Let me just check this out.
More? This makes for great.
Riff some shit, Paul. Because
this makes some great radio. This makes some great, some sweet podcasting. Essentially, the New Testament.
Here we go. Torah, first 5 books.
Genesis and Exodus, Leviticus
Torah
and Numbers.
Torah refers to the first 5 books of Moses, which are Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. Yeah. So the rest of it, so do you want to know how many other books there are of the Old Testament?
Well, we're in deep now.
Old Testament books, ladies and gentlemen. There's loads of them, Paul. Do you want me to count them? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I'll be here fucking for a while. I'm gonna take a rough estimate and say there's 40 or 35.
But it's all relevant because New Testament is the teachings of Christ. Everything up to that point is totally irrelevant in Christianity.
Well, so why is it in the Bible then?
Just to give you a backstory.
Fucking bullshit.
Well, think about it. Like, you watched the first 3 Star Wars movies, right? Right? Then they brought out the original, like they brought out 1, 2, and 3. Now, 1, 2, and 3 only give you backstory towards being Darth Vader, but essentially the first 3 are the important stories. You know
39.
You know it's true, 39, is it?
Good estimation.
Yeah, man. Like the New Testament is essentially the important Christ stuff. Like, that's,
I forgot about your theology degree.
yeah, the important Christ stuff is the New Testament. That's where Jesus starts dropping all the stories.
So remind me again, why did you not become a priest?
I wasn't fond of having sex with children, so
I threw that out
that's where I was
there.
going.
Yeah.
You knew where I was going. I find them ugly. So we're going to.
It's the only reason, ladies and gentlemen.
Otherwise, I'm the king priest. So we're on our last subject now. Jerry,
Yeah,
we're over 3 hours.
Yeah. So, like, I imagine very few people have listened this far anyway.
See, I was going to say it, like, fucking, Jerry was an ugly child. That's why the priest didn't have sex with him.
That's pretty much what I grew up believing.
So,
Grew up with a strong sense of, rejection as a child. So, yeah, the last thing that I wanted to talk about was the Parkland shooting.
that's why I was very nearly sung Part Life again.
Parkland! Confidence is a preference. No? What?
No, you really can't, because this is live at the other people, you know what I mean?
It's not live.
Is it not?
I hope not.
Imagine some poor bastard sitting in the theatre. Just like, I hope they end soon. So yeah, there was my biggest issue with the whole scenario is...
Well, we presume obviously that most people are aware of it, but...
If you're listening to this, you're probably aware that in the last week, is it a week now? But in the last week, there was a big old shooting in Florida in schools. 17 deaths.
Yes.
White male. So he was a troubled teen.
17 people killed, 14 taken to hospital. 19-year-old Nicholas Cruz was the man behind it.
Entered the school. He had a AR-15, as far as I can make out, every day in their grand that's going to shoot up a school seems to have in America at the present moment. And he systematically went around and murdered a whole pile of people. He was recently...
Weirdly, it seems to really kick up the numbers of AR-15s bought. So maybe he was just sponsored by the AR-15 marketing board.
I mean, what I find very strange, though, is I think people are just like, he had an AR-15. I want an AR-15.
That kills folk good.
It's
Probably killed deer good too.
Better could kill 17 deer in a really short succession. So there's a couple of things.
Oh, that he finds a deer high school.
Deer Valley High. No great chat, to be honest. It's really difficult. So the only reason we do this is because what it actually boils down to is...
Well, I think there's a Scottish mentality, an Irish mentality, a Gaelic mentality, English, British, like, it's a sardonic...
Dark humour.
Like, it's... If you didn't laugh, you would cry, so... You kind of fucking poke fun at it and try to make light of it because it's honest, dark and deep and awful.
I've heard a lot of this episode, and the fact that we're addressing this now is certainly saying something. So yeah, I mean, so a couple of the biggest problems from this whole scenario is, number one, people are using the term crisis actor like some kind of fucking trigger word, right? They're using it like every single child that was involved in this is a crisis actor. Now, here is my basic issue with the scenario before we look at anything else. See if you're a crisis actor and the reason that you're doing this is because the government have an agenda. Why would the government want a crisis actor to tell people to not buy guns and at the same time say you wanted to give teachers guns? That doesn't make any sense. That's selling two different lines of reasoning.
Yeah.
So, like I am not saying that these people aren't crisis actors. Like
I am.
Right, but I'm not, because I can't prove that they
Well,
are.
I can't. But I'm saying on the balance of probability, I don't believe that they are for a second.
Purely based
for a whole bunch of reasons.
Right, but purely based on an entire scenario where, like fake news and all that kind of stuff, like I can't prove that they're not crisis actors. But I ask you the simple question.
You can't prove they are either.
No, exactly. But I ask you the simple question: what benefit, if the logic is the reason that they are doing what they're doing because the government want the US citizenship to be against guns so they can de-arm everyone, why would the presidency and the GOP be pushing for teachers to be armed? That doesn't make any sense. Now, if we look at this further,
okay,
Trump had
devil's advocate.
Trump, yeah, of course, go for it.
The push to de-arm the US is coming from the deep state, and Trump, who is pushing the idea of arming teachers, is not part of the deep state.
Right, but do you believe in the deep state?
I believe that Trump is not aware of everything that's going on with the security services in America. Do I believe that the deep state are pushing to de-arm America by killing children in schools and setting up a situation where you have literally hundreds of crisis actors, parents and teachers and pupils? No, I don't believe that because it's an overly complicated solution to a problem.
I'll actually retract that further. And
if the government of America really want to pass legislation to get rid of guns, they already have plenty of justification to do it.
Fuck justification. This is the beauty of it. This is what people don't seem to understand.
And the power to do it.
What you've got is you've got a president who's a Republican and a House that's Republican. So see if they decide that they're going to do it, they have enough power between the two of them that they can pass the bill and it'll just pass. Like, I mean, they have enough power to be able to do it.
But
like,
there's
the
absolutely
American people might be pissed off about it, but the American people being pissed off about it, if they actually just want to do it, doesn't fucking matter. Like,
yeah, and the idea that, they can't take my guns, they'll take my guns out of my cold dead hands, I'll fight against a tyrannical government that's coming to take my guns. They won't, they'll fucking hand them over like fucking pussies because there'll be a police with a fucking gun on their head.
No, just one. So what happened is 5 police will show up in body armour with fucking submachine guns at close quarter range, who are like close quarter combat specialists, and they'll chap on the door and they'll say, "We're here for your guns," and they'll say, "There's your gun, officer." Do you know why? Because they can't fucking run the fucking length of themselves, the fat bastard. There's fuck all they can do about it.
And if they touch their gun, they'll get shot in the fucking head.
Yeah, like, they will just fucking shoot you. That's actually, so I know we're kind of getting
Now, also, the NRA contributed $11.8 million to Trump's presidential campaign, right? So there's no way that Trump is pushing an agenda which is not in the NRA's interest. No way, no how.
But see, the thing is, I would also follow that by saying, see if you actually believed in the whole deep state scenario. See if you don't.
I don't.
No, but see if you did.
I mean, I do believe in the deep state, but I don't believe that they're behind this.
But see if you that scenario. See if you don't believe that high up NRA, if not entirely NRA members and members who are lobbyists and stuff from the largest gun companies are not involved in the decisions made by that deep state, then you're probably not thinking about this logically, because these are the people who have existed in the US for fucking longer than anybody else and serve to make money out of any of these decisions.
I believe,
and I think I would love
Eisenhower called it the military-industrial complex, and he spoke about it in his farewell address to the nation.
This is why, Matt. Like, I'm a conspiracy nut by definition. Do you know what I mean? Like, I love conspiracies. I think they're great fun, but at the same time, like, follow some kind of fucking logic here, right? Where is the benefit right now? The benefit for gun companies is right. So here's some things that I can base information because of what I done and people that I have known when I was doing certain work. I know things to do with the way that the cigarette industry and stuff like that was impacted with certain legislation in the UK. Applying the logic of what they told me, they, as you can probably imagine, on a one-on-one basis, they're quite nice people, but in the grand scheme of things, their morals are very grey. They sell cigarettes to, but it's fundamentally children. They're not the nicest of people. But these people told me outright that they could see legislation coming in. So they pushed hard to shift as much product as essentially as they can, and then looked at developing markets with no intention of fucking caring about the UK and the US anymore. It didn't matter. Like, people would buy cigarettes just the same way that I perceive right now people will buy guns, but it's not your market.
Well, especially if you're still allowed to advertise them.
Yeah, but
which you can't do here, but you can do elsewhere.
So that's why you look at developing markets. So right now in the US, for example,
where you're not getting prohibitive taxes taken off you.
So what you do is you look at the US and just like, people will buy guns in the US, but I now need to look at future markets where I'm going to go. So they just kind of let it tick over. Now, do you not think it's strange that the NRA donate a whole shitload of money to Trump, and Trump is now saying that we should arm every teacher? Now, that to me, from a purely
conspiratorial,
not just conspiratorial, but also from completely disjointed from the whole scenario, just looking at it as a spectator,
objectively,
looks to me like a last ditch attempt. Like, you've got all the gun companies that can just say, well, we can arm like a bazillion teachers, you know what I mean? Like, and massive.
I wouldn't say it's a last ditch attempt, because it's actually an idea that has been floated about for a number of years. I would say, and certainly in the last 5-6 years, every time there has been a school shooting, I have been aware of a call on the right wing of US politics for exactly that.
No, but the thing is, it is a last ditch attempt, because the inevitable outcome of arming every teacher is there will be an increase in school shootings. There will be, because you now have more guns in schools, right? There is no logical progression that will have a scenario where there won't be more shootings in schools, because you have a whole new set of variables. You now have a teacher who breaks under pressure and shoots pupils. You have a pupil that breaks under pressure and knows a teacher has a gun. And then you have the standard school shootings that happen anyway. You now have two more variables that didn't exist before.
Now, I am not saying that I disagree with the scenario that you're painting. However, a contrary argument would be, if after arming a number of teachers in the US, there are, say, 2 or 3 incidents in a row whereby an armed teacher prevents a mass shooting by acting quickly and well and taking out a shooter, public opinion will change massively about that, including your own.
Mine? I disagree.
So you wouldn't change your mind if that happened?
Absolutely not.
See, I think you're a pretty rational, reasonable person. And don't get me wrong, right?
I don't think any of the information that you're talking about there is rational or reasonable, though. What you're doing is you're having there's a whole shitload of variables that come out there where that doesn't actually change anything. Because I went to school and I watched teachers break down and cry,
which is fine, but you can't say it doesn't change anything. If there's been loads of school shootings for a while, right? None of which have been prevented. Like, there's been no mass publication of potential shooter incidents at schools which have been stopped by a well-placed armed citizen or an armed security guard, etc. Right? So there's nothing which has suggested that this is a good idea. However, if via arming the teachers, all of a sudden there is a shift and a step change in the outcome of potential shooter incidents, whereby a whole bunch of fucking people get stopped by armed teachers, surely you would have to take a step back and adjust your thoughts on it.
Well, I agree with the scenario, but the problem is that completely negates the fact that with the Parkland issue that just happened here,
there was a security guard.
There was an armed police officer outside who...
I don't think he was a police officer, I think he was a security guard.
There was an armed security services, because I don't know what it is, you know what I mean? So there was an armed, trained member of staff whose job it was is to shoot people, right? And he didn't do that. And the reason he didn't do that is because the guy had a fucking AR-15 and he had a pistol. Now, is the logic then give the AR-15s? At what point does this stop? What if the man shows up with a bazooka? Like, give everyone bazookas?
He was an armed school resource officer.
Right, so that's literally his fucking job. Like, that's entirely his job. So you've now got teachers whose job it isn't their job. So I read a thread of tweets of a...
Armed deputy, actually.
There you go, so he is a police officer.
Yeah, he's from the sheriff's office, yeah.
So that's his job every day. He's been confronted with gunfire before.
Well, you don't know that.
Fuck, man.
You don't know.
No, I don't. But that's his job. At least he has stepped into the job knowing that he's probably going to be confronted with gunfire. Definitely that.
I think, by the way, that arming teachers is a fucking terrible idea. I was just playing devil's advocate.
I am very aware. I read a Twitter thread from a teacher. So this teacher said, I'm a university lecturer. I am a gun owner. I own an AR-15 and I have other guns as well. I grew up as a Republican. I grew up in a Republican house. I have been a member of the NRA for many, many years. I'm now personally a Conservative, but that was the decision that I moved to. But beyond that, these are the things that shaped me as a person. I own these guns. He says, you cannot at any point expect a teacher to be able to teach a class and also be trying to decide if every single pupil that is in the class is not going to be an active shooter. You can't have a teacher sitting there with a gun expecting that at some point they're going to have to kill a pupil to save other people's lives. He says that you can't. He says he had an open carry license, he had a concealed weapon license, and when he carried the gun, his biggest problem was he was always aware that he was carrying a gun. He was always on edge. He was always looking for a reason that he had to use the gun that he was carrying. He says it won't work. He says that he wasn't using this as an excuse. He's not saying that, this is for everyone or anything, but what he's saying is you cannot take a teacher because he is a teacher and he understands what it's like to be a teacher and he understands what it's like to be a gun owner and a concealed weapon carrier and a member of the NRA and somebody who grew up in a Republican household, and you can't take that person and expect them to do the job they are doing and also do an extra job that is making sure that kids don't get shot and making sure that you're ready to shoot a kid.
I see what you're saying. We need an
armed
guard.
You need
an armed guard sitting there on a lesson.
Every lesson. And I would do so. Arm the teachers, but then at some point a teacher gets angry and pulls a gun at a kid. So the logic is arm the kids, right? Because then if everyone is armed, then no one is going to shoot anyone. Or it will always be like the fucking showdown at the fucking...
But it's like if everything's a priority, then nothing's a priority. So if everyone's armed, then nobody's armed.
But this is almost the logic that's been applied. It's just, if teachers all have guns, man, right?
Can we go back to the crisis actor thing?
Yes.
Just for a moment, because that's kind of where we started off on, because, there's been a lot of...
We're 3 hours deep into this episode.
There's been a lot of chat about crisis actors. I would suggest that if some of those kids are crisis actors, then your wee doll...
You're about to talk about Negasonic nuclear warhead, aren't you?
Aye, I am. It's exactly who I'm going to talk about. Sinead O'Connor's wee sister.
Aye.
Yeah.
Sarah Connor.
Sarah O'Connor.
Sarah O'Connor. She's Irish.
If she was a crisis actor, she is up for a fucking Oscar and the greatest actress of all time, as far as I'm concerned. Because
imagine that happened next year. Imagine it was just like, and for her work as a crisis actor, Negasonic nuclear warhead.
Because she spoke with real passion and anger and frustration and grief, which to me seemed so fucking apparent by her actions that I fucking shed a tear watching it. And not even like a, oh boohoo, that's so sad, like angry. You ever cried with it, like some sort of anger?
Only when I'm wanking.
Obviously. But other than that, oh, very good. Yeah, like it fucking wound me up and upset me massively. Like, I could feel that wee girl's pain, and if she is an actress, to my mind, she's a brilliant actress and is wasted in crisis acting. They need to get her out of that.
What I don't get is, see, even if she's an actress, who the fuck cares? She's right. People don't need guns. Like, people simply don't need guns. Like,
Well, they don't need. Yeah.
like they don't. Like, I get this, right? So so
Some people do need guns in America.
yes, and me and Jerry have also had this discussion. We'll call it a discussion in the background many, many times before. Right now, as it stands, if me and Jerry lived in a city in the United States of America where you could own a gun, we would both own a gun. But that's only because every cunt owns a gun.
If I could own well, actually, I can own a gun here.
I can own a gun here. I can actually more than own a gun here. I'm trained to own a gun here. I can own a weapon if I want to, and I choose not to.
Well, at some point, I might choose to own a gun here. You know, I might quite happily choose to own a gun here, but I don't at the moment. That doesn't mean that I think that the laws in America are in any way, shape, or form fit for purpose.
That's the problem. It's the fit for purpose scenario. Like, what I'm trying to say is see if you live
But it's almost
in a
impossible.
city,
Like,
if you live in a city, you shouldn't. Like, if you live in a city anywhere in the entire world, a major city, you shouldn't need to own a gun. I'm not saying that some people don't need to own a gun, but you shouldn't need to own a gun. And the reason for that is because, like, see Glasgow. See the fucking crime rate in Glasgow, it's quite high. See the general terms of aggression that people perceive of Glasgow, it's quite high. See the amount of gun crime that happens in Glasgow, it's really low.
Because
Right?
nobody's got guns.
And the reason that nobody's got guns is not because they can't buy guns, it's because, see, once you shoot a gun...
Some people have guns.
Aye, they do. They do. But see, just saying, you know. But see, once you shoot a gun, you're the guy with a gun. See, if nobody has a gun, I use this as an argument to try and explain, because someone said to me, criminals will always get guns. I said, see, in the US prison system, I can buy heroin, I can buy coke, and I can buy smack, I can buy knives, I can buy people, I can buy anything that I want. So I could get a gun.
But you're out of there now, Paul.
I know, but I always reminisce. So you could buy a gun, in theory, if you wanted to, as in they can get anything into the prison. But once you're the only guy with a gun and you shoot someone, there's no one else with a gun apart from you. You're the gun guy. They'll find you. This is why it's different. This is why in that closed environment where there was no guns, a single gun introduced into that scenario is the only person with the gun. Now, I know there's tons and tons and tons and tons of guns in the US. I get that. But in the UK...
If I ever open
tons and tons and
tons of guns.
Tons and
Tons of guns. Come down to Jerry's, tons of guns. I'll have one of those big blow up guys with the flailing arms.
Wacky and flailing tube man.
Yeah.
But that's why it doesn't happen that much in the UK, because if you're in a street, if you're in a town, if you're in a village, if you're in a city, and most people don't have guns, if you shoot a gun, you're not, you stand out, you're the guy with the gun. Now, I know that you've got fucking tons of guns, you've got an issue there within its own
Tons and tons of guns.
It's an issue within your own right, I know that.
But this is the problem.
A closed environment, a criminal won't bring a gun into that closed environment because they're the only person with the gun.
The problem that you have also in America is one of legislation, right? Because, and this is something which kind of can link into one of the other things we were talking about. I'll get onto that in a moment. But you have an issue of legislation in America, right? I know it's long. It's long. Which is this. At the moment, it is entirely legally ratified for everybody in America to have freedom of choice about abortion, right? Because that was passed at that level of government. But many legislators at the state level, who have always been Republican controlled, have refused to pass laws which allow abortion to be legal in those states. So there are still many states in America where those laws have not changed, and in all likelihood will not change until at some point somebody comes into power at an institutional level who's able to change that. And that's why, getting on to what we were talking about earlier, identity politics doesn't really work either, because in order for identity politics to work, you need to have people at an institutional level in a position to change law to suit your specific means. Whereas if you are involved in a party or a movement which is broad, it's far easier to get yourself in that position. Anyway, I think probably we're going to end on that, right? The only thing that I would like to add to that is, if you are in prison and you do need
a gun,
a weapon,
go to Jerry's, loads and loads and loads and loads.
Tons of kids. No, seriously. Like, if you want a weapon you can hide in your pocket and it can do some serious fucking damage, then you want to go to Cornerstone.
Jerry's talking about.
You want to go to Cornerstone Razors. Cornerstone will give you blades straight through your door once a month.
That's the tagline. Blades straight through your door.
And you can use these blades to slit as many people's throats as you want.
You can melt in a toothbrush. You can stick the blade.
You can cut. You can
shank a cunt.
Just slash folks' face. Give them Chelsea smiles. Whatever you want. And that's cornerstone.co.uk/fake10.
Do you know one day Cornerstone are going to listen to the adverts that we do and we're going to get pulled.
Yeah. But until then, let's enjoy it. So, yeah, Paul?
Yes?
Would you like to say goodnight to our listeners?
I suppose so. So, yeah, thanks a lot for the episode. I know it was long, and fucking fair play to you if you've managed to get all the way to the end, because
I struggled.
There was times that we digressed. I've been looking like, I could be going home for about the last 40 minutes. You're a lucky bastard. You're just like driving or something listening to this, so you've got nothing else to do.
Yeah. So, yeah, thanks for listening. Thanks to all of our listeners who have been in touch with us recently. And, I forgot to mention
Patreon! We've got a new Patreon. We did discuss this, have we? Have we missed this?
Not a new Patreon.
No, Discord.
Yeah,
that's what I mean.
Yeah, Discord. We're gonna change the structure of our Discord. And if you've got to the end of this and found that out, then well fucking done.
See if you got to hear right now. In all fairness, see if you got to hear it and you found this out, you probably want to be joining our Discord.
If you got to the end of this without deciding to not listen anymore, then you're exactly the kind of people that we deliberately crafted this podcast to recruit.
Like, you're the type of person who's just like, I want more of this shit.
Yeah. You really need to get involved in the Discord. So what we're doing is, up until now, the Discord has been Patreon only, and we have now decided we're going to open it up to the public. And there's still going to be Patreon only rooms, which, if you get in there and you enjoy it and you want to get involved more, you'll get access to them by donating to the Patreon. But if you just want to get involved in a community which we're trying to grow around the podcast, where people share ideas and discourse and have conversations about transgender wrestlers in Texas and that kind of thing, and gun control and whatever else, if you want to be in a position to start to, what we're going to do going forward is get people to share articles for this monthly review, so that we have a bunch of stuff to talk about before we come into it, instead of this.
So, no, actually, on top of that, what you'll also have is as you're probably aware now, we are we're a year in anyway, certainly, and we're now in the scenario where we've had Patreons from the first week that we've started, or certainly the first couple of episodes. The Patreons are going to be in the Discord as well. They are going to be able to point you in the right direction and tell you things. And we have some Patreons, to be honest, all our Patreons, but I mean, everyone who is currently in our Discord are particularly pleasant people. They're people who I will retract that. They're maybe not pleasant people, but they're particularly good people to be involved with. I mean, they'll if you like what we do, they're your kind of people, and they're already available there, and they'll be in those rooms as well. They'll obviously still be in the Patreon only rooms as well, but they'll all have access to these rooms. And even if me and Jerry aren't there, and we usually are, I mean, Jerry more so than me, but usually we're always about on the Discord. Don't roll your eyes. It's just how it is. Fucking, you can't about on an oil rig or whatever. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, but they'll always be there, and there's always someone there, and there's always chat going on, there's always discussion about stuff. There's Luke from Scapegoat, there's Johnny from the Disaster Artists, there's
both great podcasts. Listen
to both those podcasts, they're absolutely brilliant. And yeah, there's like then loads of other patrons who are just like really good to be involved with. They're not all left wing or right wing or anything like that. They all have different opinions and different views. They're from different countries. We've got Canadians and Americans and Brits and Norwegians, and we've got all sorts there available to you. That,
Irish.
Irish, of course. Look.
And Northern Irish.
Yeah, so, good point. But yeah, they're all there.
They're two different countries, folks.
For
now. Time being.
But yeah, so if you can, like, and you want to, the link will be up on our social media this week. And contact us. If you don't get the link, if you miss the link in our social media, if you don't use social media, drop us over an email on info@notanotherfakenewscast.com and we'll send you over the link.
Yeah, and I'm going to be blasting it out on all our social media, and I'm going to be emailing some people that we've been in touch with and stuff recently as well. So again, thanks for listening. Thanks for being in touch. Sorry for our rambling and our divergence this evening. I hope that in some way it entertained or stimulated you.
The next episode will be a focused episode, and then the episode after that will be more of this rambling.
But hopefully a bit more honed and a bit more.
Unless you really like this.
Unless this is what you're into, in which case, I've got a number for a good psychiatrist.
No, you don't.
Oh yeah, no, I don't.
You've got a number for a terrible psychiatrist.
Quite mad. Anyway.
Yes, I've had a great night tonight. So thank you very much, and I hope to speak to you soon.
Peace out.